He cried out in agony, having already endured inhuman torment, and now faced with this calamity, no one could withstand such suffering. Do not be distracted. This is your reincarnation tribulation. Focus on overcoming it. Once you succeed, I shall take you as my disciple. Ji Xian communicated telepathically. Upon hearing this, Shi Tianyu felt a warmth in his heart. The 3,000 states lay far from the northern dipper, yet the Xian emperor had come all this way, aware of his plight, to rescue him. Senior, is my elder brother still alive? He inquired, desperate for that answer. With his parents deceased, his elder brother was his only remaining kin. Do not worry, he will not perish. With Ji Xian's reassurance, Shi Tianyu felt a sense of relief wash over him. He activated the Reincarnation Emperor's Sutra, allowing the powerful holy energy to saturate every inch of his flesh and pores, preparing himself before soaring towards the heavenly tribulation. The Reincarnation Tribulation, as its name suggests, involved the cycle of time. With each step he took, his body visibly aged. In no time, he transformed from a handsome youth into a frail old man. Boom. A tremendous shock reverberated as vibrant life force surged within him once more. He was harnessing the laws of time to restore himself. Break for me. His black hair whipped wildly as he moved with great fervor. The might of the reincarnation holy body erupting in an instant, sending countless time symbols flying and stirring the river into tumultuous waves. The order divine chains descended one after another, yet many were repelled. Encouraged by Ji Xian, Shi Tianyu felt invigorated, as if he had been filled with vitality. To become Ji Xian's disciple felt like a dream come true, a long-cherished aspiration. In that moment, figures of great renown emerged along the banks of the river, each a monumental presence in their own right. They stood by the river, observing this tribulation bearer. Is he undergoing tribulation within the river of time? Could he be the reincarnation holy body? One cloaked figure murmured. Such a physique has finally reemerged. Another remarked, reminiscing about the legendary reincarnation immortal lord who had once swept across the heavens, instilling fear in the hearts of the great figures in the celestial realm. Suddenly, a sharp arrow streaked through the air like a meteor, aimed to take Shi Tianyu down. I dare anyone to try? Ji Xian bellowed from his seated position, swinging the chaos bell to strike the arrow. As the deep resonance of the bell rang out, the arrow shattered on the spot. Subsequently, a shadowy figure wielding a bow vanished swiftly into the river. Ji Xian speculated that this was a great being from millennia ago, harboring some grudge against the reincarnation holy temple. Upon seeing the emergence of a holy body in the present, they sought to eliminate it. However, the one under his protection was not someone to be trifled with. The remaining would-be attackers immediately abandoned their intentions, sensing the unmatched aura emanating from that grand bell. On the other side, the tribulation of Shi Tianyu had reached a fervent climax. Through this heavenly trial, he glimpsed the endless cycles of his existence, filled with joy, despair, happiness, and sorrow. Time seemed to tug at him, drawing him into the endless reincarnations, persistently disrupting his focus. Despite the myriad cycles of rebirth, there exists but one singular self. He roared with determination, unleashing an overwhelming aura that shattered the tempestuous thunderclouds, causing countless divine chains of order to fracture and vanish entirely. The tribulation had concluded. Shi Tianyu rejoiced, sensing the transformation within himself, deeply satisfied. Although there was no elevation in his cultivation realm, his comprehension of the Tao of time had ascended to new heights. At that moment, Ji Xian appeared before him, dressed in flowing white robes. A great bell suspended above him, resembling a deity of exalted stature. With a single wave of the bell's resonance, he subdued the multitude within the cosmic river. Just as Shi Tianyu was about to express his gratitude, an impulse surged through him, compelling him to kneel. Disciple Shi Tianyu pays respects to Master. Ding. Concurrently, a notification echoed within Ji Xian's mind. Congratulations, host, on successfully accepting a disciple. Reward, Supreme Celestial Technique, 6 Paths of Reincarnation Heaven Art. Chapter 297, The Divine Oracle of Time. The turmoil of ages within the river of time. Ji Xian hovered in the air, gazing at the information displayed on the system panel. 6 Paths of Reincarnation Heaven Art, an unparalleled celestial technique for cultivating the Tao of time. The pinnacle among the heavens. Mastery of this technique grants dominion over time, allowing one to gaze upon the past, present, and future from the river of time. Utilizing a moment of enlightenment opportunity, the subject being 6 Paths of Reincarnation Heaven Art, Ji Xian declared. Enlightenment in progress, instantly. The profound rules of time surged into Ji Xian's consciousness, shimmering like snow, dancing like exquisite sprites. His mind briefly descended into a void, only to be filled with 6 colossal vortices, hollow and profoundly dark. They consumed all the rules of time, emitting a thunderous roar. In that fleeting moment, Ji Xian sensed a monumental transformation within his consciousness, receiving the endowment of temporal power, both in essence and capability. During the surge of rules, Ji Xian traversed a dreamlike expanse, experiencing epochs and briefly entering a cycle of reincarnation. The myriad divine tree within him swayed vigorously, greedily absorbing the ancient rules of the Tao birth within him, resulting in the emergence of snow-white leaves upon its branches. Finally, the anomaly within his primordial essence pulled him from the cycle. It was the manifestation of the time Dharma image coalescing. Ji Xian had previously formed 6 or 7 Dharma images, shattering the rules of heaven and earth, and now, manifesting this 8th one required no effort at all. Of course, it was not only the primordial essence that underwent transformation. On the golden Taiji diagram, spatial rules emerged autonomously, aligning with the rules of time, intertwining and coalescing in an eternal dance. It is often said that space and time are inseparable. At a certain level of power, they can even give rise to one another. Time is space, and space can also be time. After this metamorphosis, Ji Xian reaped immense rewards, particularly from the 6 vortices within his consciousness, which, according to the system's elucidation, seemed to embody the true essence of the 6 paths of reincarnation. The true essence of the 6 paths of reincarnation, an enhancement buff that can be applied to all attacks executed by the user, possessing the power to annihilate the universe and forge new worlds. Kneeling before Ji Xian, Shi Tianyu felt a wave of trepidation. In that fleeting moment, he sensed an immense influx of temporal laws surging into Ji Xian's being. Even as the reincarnation saint body, renowned as the master of time, he found himself unnerved. Master, having survived the great tribulation, shall we depart from this place? Shi Tianyu inquired. Ji Xian replied, not yet. There exists no realm more conducive to the cultivation of temporal principles than here. I shall impart to you the teachings that pertain to the path of time, and you must ponder them earnestly. Shi Tianyu furrowed his brow and said, Master, I have something to express. Speak. I have already cultivated the Reincarnation Emperor Scripture, which is arguably the most formidable temporal technique in this realm. Should I delve into other techniques of similar rank, it may provoke a repulsive effect, even resulting in a backlash, Shi Tianyu elucidated. The Reincarnation Emperor Scripture was a legacy passed down from his father, a treasured technique of the Reincarnation Sanctuary, created by the ancient Reincarnation Immortal, touching upon the domain of the celestial path. This technique was exceedingly domineering, deemed the apex of time manipulation, repelling all other techniques of equal or lesser tiers. Hence, throughout his life, he had devoted himself solely to this art. Ji Xian smiled gently, saying, do not fret. Simply accept it with patience. Understood, Shi Tianyu acquiesced. With a soft chime, Ji Xian positioned his index and middle fingers together, a luminous point of silvery white light manifesting at his fingertips, which he then directed into Shi Tianyu's forehead. Gasping, Shi Tianyu felt a slight sting before gradually discerning the essence Ji Xian had implanted within him. The heavenly art of 6 paths of reincarnation? He murmured in astonishment, realizing that not only did the Reincarnation Emperor Scripture not reject this technique, but it also seemed to yield to it. Furthermore, it dared to proclaim itself as a heavenly art, suggesting it might indeed be an extraordinary technique. However, the subsequent revelations completely upended his understanding. The true essence could dominate the ages. Those who mastered the technique could govern time, wielding such power. Even celestial scriptures would be considered among the pinnacle of its content. Shi Tianyu was profoundly shaken. As a descendant of immortals, he was privy to certain celestial matters, yet this technique transcended the limits of his comprehension. The true essence, when perfected, can rule the ages and command time. How utterly tyrannical. System, replicate Shi Tianyu's origin, Ji Xian stated. Replicating origin. Congratulations, host has acquired the divine decree of time. Divine decree of time. Every word and action signifies time. Spoken laws manifest forth, capable of altering all matters pertaining to time, including but not limited to a cultivator's lifespan, cultivation, and grand techniques. Note, merging with the divine decree of time grants infinite lifespan, enabling one to become a sovereign, governing the time within the host's world. By heavens, Ji Xian exclaimed in astonishment. The surprises bestowed by the heavenly art of 6 paths of reincarnation were already ample. Now, the divine decree of time was an extraordinary boon. Let us merge, he commanded. Merging in progress. Merging successful. Congratulations, host has acquired the title of Time Sovereign, capable of instantaneously comprehending all temporal arts and divine powers. After a series of transformations, Ji Xian sensed that the flow of his lifespan had come to a halt, eternally suspended in this moment, yet his cultivation continued to advance. Now, he appeared increasingly ethereal, with every strand of hair shimmering with a hazy luminescence, and his white garments emanating an aura of immortality, dreamlike and transcendent. He realized this was a precursor to a significant breakthrough. Was he on the verge of transcending the 100 Shackles realm? Yet, he was still one realm away from the supreme realm. Ji Xian sensed something in the depths of his being. Perhaps it was time to test the divine decree of time. He descended slowly, stopping 1,000 zhang above the river's surface, and with a flourish of his fingers, he proclaimed, Time River, halt. Boom. In but an instant, the surging river appeared to be severed, coming to an abrupt stillness, with splashes of water suspended in midair, as if frozen in time. However, this also caused the surrounding space to tremble violently, with the barriers of various realms shaking uncontrollably, as the very fabric of time across the heavens began to convulse. Oh no, Ji Xian realized the gravity of his actions and hurriedly restored the flow of the time river. In that fleeting moment, he clearly felt that over 3,000 years had elapsed across the realms, although he had only stepped out for a few years. This reckless maneuver resulted in the passage of 3 millennia, such a waste of precious time. He sighed inwardly. Master, what has transpired? I feel as though a portion of my lifespan has inexplicably diminished, Tianyu exclaimed in terror. The events had occurred in an instant, unnoticed by anyone but Ji Xian. It's nothing to worry about, perhaps just a minor mishap during cultivation. I will guide you shortly. Ji Xian could only provide a forced explanation. He certainly could not admit that he had whimsically paused the time river. Let us find a suitable location for training, Ji Xian instructed. With 3,000 years having passed in the outside world, his disciples should have made considerable progress in their cultivation, and it was time for him to strive for a breakthrough into the 100 Shackles realm. Chapter 298. The thunder tribulation of the 100 Shackles realm. Upon the vast expanse of the flowing river, there lay an inconspicuous small island, steadfast amidst the ever-changing currents of time. Compared to the great river, the island resembled but a grain of sand. The illustrious cultivators navigating the waters circumvented this small isle, hesitant to draw near, for above the island hung an imposing bell, emanating an overwhelming presence. The vibrant chaos that poured forth from it surged in myriad threads, each capable of shaking mountains and collapsing millennia. On the island, Ji Xian, accompanied by Tianyu, traversed mountains and valleys until they discovered a haven filled with the melodies of birds and the fragrance of flowers. Here, ancient trees soared, animals roamed in flocks, and flora flourished, all manifestations of the rules of time. He established a cave dwelling here, setting up several spirit-gathering arrays, preparing to commence his training. Seated upon a stone platform within the cave, Ji Xian was enveloped by the beams of light streaming from above, creating an aura that was both ethereal and inviting. Having comprehended the path of time, his demeanor became even more otherworldly. If he had previously embodied the might of a formidable combat emperor, with a single punch sending all foes retreating, now, he resembles an ethereal being banished from the heavens, exuding a gentle aura that seems entirely natural and devoid of darkness. Below, Shi Tianyu has also seated himself, clad in a flowing azure robe, his features strikingly refined. Though recently burdened by the annihilation of his sect and the death of his father, he carries himself with an effortless grace, embodying the spirit of a young man poised to soar. The master and disciple sit across from one another, both cultivating their inner sanctity and refining the energies they have garnered. After a considerable time, Ji Xian opened his eyes, and with a gentle flick of his sleeve, a luminous, white time sigil materialized at his fingertips. The sigil, shaped like a leaf, represented a fragment of the Dao fruit residing within Ji Xian. This is a portion of my Dao fruit. Accept it, Ji Xian said, rousing Shi Tianyu from his contemplation. Yes, yes. In a flurry of confusion, Shi Tianyu accepted the leaf, feeling somewhat at a loss. Having lived for over 8,000 years, it was the first time someone had bestowed such a gift upon him. Thank you, master. I will refine it diligently. With that, Ji Xian fell silent once more. 3 decades later, Ji Xian had fully mastered the divine oracle of time. This profound ability surpassed his initial expectations, enabling him to manipulate all matters pertaining to time, extending far beyond mere suspension or acceleration. For instance, when faced with an onslaught of divine weapons, Ji Xian could invoke his power to instantly suppress them, locking the temporal field surrounding them and severing the controller's dominion over them. He could even trace and foresee events that had transpired or were destined to occur regarding a place or an individual, intervening as necessary. Observing Shi Tianyu before him, Ji Xian resolved to experiment. With a swift motion, he exhaled a breath of pure energy, enveloping Shi Tianyu. Still immersed in the process of refining the time sigil bestowed upon him, Shi Tianyu remained unaware. Soon, fragments of Shi Tianyu's past began to materialize in the void, revealing to Ji Xian the journey he had undertaken during the years spent away from the Dao sect. He had traversed the vast expanse of 3,000 states, seeking out the leaders of various great sects and ancient clans, receiving warm hospitality wherever he went, thanks to the revered name of the Reincarnation Holy Temple. However, just as he intended to embark towards the ancient lands neighboring the 3,000 states, a message from his elder brother summoned him back to the sect. As the Emperor of Beidou sought him, after an arduous journey, Shi Tianyu crossed countless star domains to return to Beidou, only to find himself confronted with the tragic news of his mother's murder and the brutal slaying of his siblings. Reluctantly, he joined his father in battle until the bitter end, ultimately being captured by the emperors of Beidou. On that fateful day, the 7 emperors took turns battling the Reincarnation Emperor, vanquishing him on the outer plateau, thereby proclaiming the fall of the Reincarnation Holy Temple to the world. This event left an indelible shadow upon Shi Tianyu. All that transpired was a result of his status as the Reincarnation Sacred Body, a condition that had brought calamity upon him, which weighed heavily on his conscience. The path of ascension is perpetually fraught with challenges, even for prodigies and descendants of immortals. This experience, though devastating, catalyzed his growth. Upon reaching this point, Ji Xian's resolve to reconstruct the reincarnation sacred hall grew even more steadfast. For the sake of Shi Tianyu, this lineage must not be severed. System, check the disciples' cultivation levels. Opening disciples' cultivation panel, as follows. Huo Ling'er, initial stage of Saint Sovereign. Ling Yun, great perfection of Saint Sovereign. Mo Yue, Mo Yuling, initial stage of Saint Sovereign. Ying Zheng, mid stage of Saint Sovereign. Sun Huowang, great perfection of Saint Sovereign. Qingqing, great perfection of Saint Sovereign. Shi Tianyu, great perfection of Saint Sovereign. Over the course of more than 3 millennia, the disciples had not made remarkable advancements in their cultivation, remaining collectively within the Saint Sovereign realm. This was anticipated by Ji Xian. Cultivating at the Saint Sovereign level is inherently arduous, and these disciples have progressed rapidly compared to others. Ji Xian harbored no concerns regarding Ling Yun and the others being stalled at the great perfection of Saint Sovereign. Typically, great saints live for 70 to 80,000 years. While these disciples are yet to reach 5,000, they still have ample time ahead of them. Return cultivation level. Ding. Triggered in 8,130,000 fold probability. Returning cultivation to the 100 Shackles realm. Boom. A torrent of overwhelming power erupted from Ji Xian's primordial essence, imbued with the capacity to obliterate the heavens and earth. After a moment of adjustment, it surged directly towards the supreme threshold above. Crack. In an instant, the barrier of the ultimate supreme was shattered by the oncoming surge of holy power. Having only recently attained the status of great supreme, Ji Xian now broke through to the ultimate supreme. The bubbling force continued to ascend, colliding with the formidable barrier of the 100 Shackles realm. Slap. Boom. As a tremendous sound resonated within, Ji Xian underwent astonishing transformations externally. He resembled a great furnace, his entire being aglow with a fiery red hue. Vast quantities of white vapor erupting from his pores. This was the manifestation of power at its zenith. The supreme realm represents the pinnacle of the human domain, and one more step leads towards the celestial domain. Now standing at the supreme level, the commotion of Ji Xian's breakthrough was profoundly significant. Boom. A thunderous clap resonated from the heavens, shattering the darkness like a heavy hammer, descending into the river of time. Shi Tianyu, seated in meditation, was instantly awakened. Witnessing Ji Xian enveloped in divine flames, his heart racing with alarm. Master, what has happened? Ji Xian waved his hand, instructing, step back. I must undergo tribulation. Upon uttering these words, he vanished from the cave abode, swiftly departing the small island. Above the river of time, dark storm clouds gathered, engulfing every inch of the sky, creating an oppressive gloom devoid of light. Ji Xian's bones crackled as every moment heralded a transformation. He gazed at the impending thunder tribulation, his heart ablaze with fighting spirit. Advancing towards it. Chapter 299, the 100 Shackles realm achieved, Shi Tianming revived. Above the river, passers-by from ancient and modern times paused in awe. Among them were both living beings and spirits of the deceased, disparate entities united in their gaze towards the storm clouds above. To think someone could transcend tribulation within the river of time is utterly terrifying, exclaimed a cultivator clad in armor. Indeed, we, the cultivators, have entered merely to gather fragments of rules tainted by time, all the while meticulously adorned in protective gear, for a single misstep could lead to our demise. Yet, this individual boldly summons thunderclouds, breaking through realms here. From which era does he hail? How can there be an ethereal aura amidst the tribulation? Could it be an immortal tribulation? Surely not. The age when countless immortals stood has long been purged, and such occurrences seem impossible now. However, one can never be certain. Should the great epochs of the future arise, opportunities for enlightenment may increase, and perhaps someone might indeed discover the chance to ascend to immortality. The cultivators murmured amongst themselves, their curiosity piqued by the figure of Ji Xian in the heavens. Meanwhile, Ji Xian stood ablaze with flames, a towering giant amidst the tribulation, enduring the relentless lash of lightning. Crack! A thick bolt of golden lightning struck down, propelling him back thousands of miles. Yet Ji Xian turned, executing a powerful kick that shattered the bolt into fragments. Simultaneously, a sound akin to chains breaking echoed from within him, signifying his formal entry into the 100 Shackles realm. For a cultivator, transitioning from mortal to immortal, this realm represents the first step, requiring the shattering of 108 shackles to shed the burdens of the corporeal and evolve towards purity. With another bolt of lightning approaching, Ji Xian was prepared. Wielding his palm like a blade, he cleaved through the air with a formidable strike, splitting the lightning in twain and obliterating it above. This relentless cycle continued until he shattered 10 of his shackles. Faintly, 10 ribbon-like wisps of white mist erupted from above his crown, coalescing into a robust white dragon that soared into the heavens, imbued with a hint of immortal essence. With each shackle broken, Ji Xian felt the surge of ethereal energy. At this juncture, he had begun to faintly touch upon some of the foundational rules of the immortal path. Retreat, Ji Xian commanded, pointing skyward. As the white mist enveloped him, unleashing an unparalleled momentum. This aura intertwined with the essence of the passage of time, shaking the very rules of this river of time. The thick thunderclouds were met with tremendous impact, gradually receding. Aware that today as tribulation had reached its zenith, he preemptively urged the heavenly calamity to withdraw. Shi Tianyu. It is time to depart, Ji Xian called towards a distant island. Is it over? From a thicket on the island, Shi Tianyu emerged, glancing about. His long hair was tangled with green leaves, and a bird's nest precariously perched atop his head. Behind him, a mother sparrow chirped incessantly, pecking at him. Shi Tianyu returned the nest to the mother sparrow and waved it away. The commotion of Ji Xian's tribulation had been so great that he had to hide so deeply. Suddenly, a golden pathway unfurled before Shi Tianyu. Upon closer inspection, it was but a finger from Ji Xian's hand. He stepped forward, entering the palm of Ji Xian. Ji Xian then took a stride, as if traversing through 9 heavens, parting clouds and tearing through barriers, ultimately returning to the realm of reality. In the outside world, the ancient emperor of the galaxy had transformed into his true form, coiling around the ruins of the Tianxian Holy Land, comfortably lost in slumber. He was indeed colossal, coiled there, causing the stars in the heavens to be compelled to alter their trajectories, departing from their original positions. At the apex, a massive head emitted rhythmic snores. Each breath released could collapse mountains thousands of miles away. Since Ji Xian's departure, he had remained in slumber, a circumstance beyond his control, for the formation was exceedingly arcane, and no amount of ingenuity could unravel it, leaving him in a state of resignation. Hey, wake up! Ji Xian stood atop his head, gently nudging the ancient emperor of the galaxy. Beside him, Shi Tianyu glanced up and down, whispering, "Why does this serpent coiled up resemble excrement?" The ancient emperor of the galaxy kept his eyes tightly shut, still lost in dreams, murmuring, "Who dares intrude upon this emperor's lair after I have only just slumbered for 3,000 years? Beware, I shall compel you to kneel and call me father." Ji Xian frowned, perturbed by the creature's incessant thoughts of fatherhood. Awaken! He stomped forcefully, landing a kick upon the ancient emperor's head. Boom! A tremendous shockwave erupted, directly embedding the ancient emperor's head into the ground. Now that's amusing. Excrement has turned into a funnel, Shi Tianyu chuckled. Ouch! Struck by the immense force, the ancient emperor felt a ringing in his ears, as if his skull would shatter. In truth, Ji Xian had minimized his strength. The great serpent opened its eyes, its pupils swirling downward. Upon seeing the diminutive figure at its side, its serpentine body quivered. "Father, you have returned." A shiver ran through Ji Xian, and instinctively, he felt the urge to strike, yet he restrained himself upon glancing at Shi Tianyu. "Transform into human form. We must leave this place. Also, do not refer to me as father." The ancient emperor nodded, replying, "Understood. Father, no problem. Father." Ji Xian sighed. "Very well, as long as you mean no harm. Let it be." He transformed into human form, producing a bloodied head from the void, saying, "Father, this is the head of the human you asked me to guard." Shi Tianming's head had been sealed with divine herbs by the ancient emperor, now resting quietly in his palm. "Brother." Shi Tianyu's eyes reddened in an instant. He stepped forward, glancing anxiously at the head, overwhelmed. "Master, can my brother still live?" From this head, no trace of vitality could be felt. Having been severed from his body for 3,000 years, even a quasi-emperor would near the end of their existence. Ji Xian waved his hand, responding, "No matter." He expelled several strands of golden light from his fingertips, transforming into a small cloud that enveloped Shi Tianyu's head. "Move." With a soft utterance, the power of time surged from Ji Xian's being, flowing into Shi Tianming's head, accompanied by the force of creation. Buzz! The void trembled, and everything began to reverse, undergoing monumental transformation. In a daze, Ji Xian glimpsed the changes that had transpired over the past 3,000 years. Crumbled bricks and debris gradually darkened, flowers and grasses withered. The corpses of cultivators decayed into heaps of bones, and there lay a great serpent, motionless in one spot for 3 millennia. As time flowed, the desiccated blood scab upon Shi Tianming's head gradually transformed into liquid, shifting from dark red to a vibrant crimson. Immediately, the forces of creation enveloped him, crafting a new physique indistinguishable from the previous one. As long as the cultivator's primordial spirit endures, so too shall the path endure. A figure emerged. A robust man yet languidly sprawled on the ground, appearing exceedingly feeble. Shi Tianming had just recovered, still looking quite haggard. To his astonishment, the ancient emperor of the galaxy marveled. "Is that how substantial the human race is? Brother." Shi Tianyu rushed forward, draping him in a deep blue robe. "I am here," Shi Tianming said, slowly rising with his head supported. With Shi Tianyu's explanation, Shi Tianming grasped the circumstances unfolding before him. "I pay my respects to the Xian Emperor." He struggled to his feet and bowed. Several millennia ago, he had visited the Dao sect and met this emperor. Now, he found himself as the brother of the emperor's disciple. Ji Xian replied, "Indeed." He turned to the ancient emperor of the galaxy and commanded, "You, bring forth 2 eggs to supplement his strength." The ancient emperor shuddered and replied, "Adoptive father, I am a male serpent, unable to lay eggs." "Oh, then scrape off 2 pounds of flesh. Let us indulge in a change of taste tonight." Ji Xian said as he approached. Adoptive father, please do not come near. Chapter 300. The extraterrestrial highlands that night. Under the dark moon and howling winds, a large pot was set up amidst the ruins of the Tianxian sacred land. The bonfire blazing, wafting the aroma of roasted meat. This is my first time tasting the flesh of an emperor. Shi Tianming stared blankly at the floating morsels in his bowl, feeling the surge of power, yet hesitating to partake. Just drink it. The effects have already been refined by me. As for the serpent, you need not be concerned, Ji Xian chuckled. He glanced back at the ancient emperor of the galaxy. Curled up in a corner and softly weeping. Stop your pretense. The meat was regrown before it was even harvested. How could it possibly be injured? Crouched among the debris, the ancient emperor retrieved a white handkerchief and sneezed, then resumed his weeping. This is disastrous. For the first time in 200,000 years, I have been injured. My path of survival has collapsed. No, I must document this day as a cautionary tale. With that, he produced a stone tablet from seemingly nowhere and gazed skyward in contemplation. What year is it? He pondered. It seems there is no unified calendar across the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Thus, I shall write freely. He began to inscribe rapidly. Uncertain of the year, month, or day, he noted, having had 10 pounds of flesh excised, I am now fully recovered. This serves as a warning. I must strive to endure more and become an unparalleled powerhouse. Beside him, Shi Tianyu and Shi Tianming were left dumbfounded, casting bewildered glances at Ji Xian. As if to say, is this truly an emperor? Ji Xian merely smiled. For those who ascend to such heights are invariably peculiar beings. 3 days later, Shi Tianming had largely recovered, and with Ji Xian's assistance, he adapted swiftly to his new body. Thank you, Xian Emperor. Shi Tianming prostrated himself, bowing deeply, causing several cracks to form in the ground beneath him. Let us go and explore, Ji Xian suggested. Master, where are we going? Shi Tianyu inquired, perplexed by Ji Xian's cryptic statement. In the place where your father fell, that desolate plateau beyond the realm, I believe he must have left something for you. Ji Xian waved his sleeve, dispelling the formation that shrouded this expanse of heaven and earth. What? Shi Tianming and his brother exchanged glances, their eyes instantly glistening with moisture as memories of past humiliations surged to the forefront of their minds. High above, Ji Xian gazed down upon the sacred land of Tianxian. Following that fierce battle, the sacred land was buried by the very hands of the emperor of Tianxian himself, reduced to ruins. With nearly all life extinguished and countless treasures and divine herbs lost to oblivion, he had intended to drag Ji Xian into the depths of despair in this manner. Yet ultimately his efforts were in vain, costing him his life. The North Dipper is merely this, Ji Xian uttered before leading a few companions away. In the desolate and frigid cosmos, a figure clad in white traversed the winds, leaving a comet-like trail of brilliance that vanished in an instant. Beyond the 9 heavens lies a vast expanse of outer cosmos, comparable in size to the universe of the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Here reside the ancient clans from beyond, remnants of a bygone era, perpetually at odds with the 9 heavens and 10 earths, relentlessly assaulting the borders. As Ji Xian journeyed onward, he beheld myriad races inhabiting this realm, their civilizations flourishing like blossoms in full bloom. The outer plateau, majestic and towering, radiated a crimson glow, resembling an ancient continent spanning the depths of the cosmos. Here, not a blade of grass could thrive. The land was barren for miles, ravaged by sandstorms, perpetually shrouded in dim twilight. After years of flight, Ji Xian and his companions arrived at this place, greeted by a panorama of towering mountains, each rising tens of thousands of feet, their sheer cliffs standing like sentinels. The desolate earth was dotted with low mounds, where sand and stones danced in the wind, devoid of any living shadow. How desolate, Ji Xian sighed, pondering how the Emperor of Reincarnation must have been forced to confront his end here, tragically overwhelmed. Strange. Why can I not sense my father's presence? Shi Tianming queried, perplexed. Though this plateau was vast, their prolonged search had yielded no remnants of the Emperor of Reincarnation's aura. Master, there are living beings over there. Suddenly, Shi Tianyu exclaimed, gazing into the distance. Ji Xian turned his attention to the mountainside, where a group of beings shimmering with starlight were seen transporting something. Is that a remnant of an emperor? He discerned that the celestial beings were handling shattered bones, exuding a faint imperial might, clearly the remains of a deceased emperor. The Star Spirit Clan, Shi Tianyu exclaimed, recognizing them as a race under the sacred land of Tianshu. Upon sighting the celestial beings, his breath quickened, his brows furrowing in agitation, as if confronted with a dire adversary. Brother, let us approach. The two brothers, after consulting Ji Xian, propelled themselves forward, swiftly traversing over a dozen mountains until they neared the Star Spirit Clan. Who are you? The leader of the Star Spirits bellowed, enveloped in starlight, his human form barely discernible. Leave what you carry, or face death. Shi Tianyu and Shi Tianming stepped forward, their murderous intent palpable. The adversaries before them were their sworn enemies, and there was no room for civility. From whence do you inferior beings dare to intercept me at the holy land of the celestial pivot? The leader among them was also a quasi-emperor, who waved his hand, and a squadron of iron cavalry surged forth, Clad in resplendent armor that shimmered with prismatic starlight, they stood in perfect formation, their beastly roars reverberating through the mountains and rivers as they charged with blades drawn. Ant-like creatures, how dare you boast? With a surge of energy, Shi Tianming unleashed the flow of temporal laws with every deft movement. He reached out and plucked a star from the heavens, empowering it with secretive incantations before hurling it forth. The colossal star barreled through the void, causing the air to tremble violently, akin to a volcano erupting in a thunderous roar. In an instant, the approaching cavalry was obliterated into mere fragments. On Shi Tianyu's side, he harnessed the 6 paths of reincarnation technique imparted by Ji Xian. As a descendant of the immortals, his extraordinary talents allowed him to grasp the true essence of reincarnation. With a single, forceful strike, silence enveloped the world. The power of reincarnation surged forth like a mighty river, causing the mountains to collapse as if a dam had burst, sweeping away yet another wave of foes. Brother, you have grown stronger. Shi Tianming gazed in disbelief at his younger sibling, whose manifested 6 whirlpools appeared capable of erasing all existence, even stirring a sense of awe within him, a quasi-emperor himself. All thanks to my master's teachings. Shi Tianyu clenched his fist, overwhelmed by his own surge in combat prowess, having just slain a figure of immense caliber among the great saints. As Shi Tianming approached, he grasped the items they were transporting. Upon investigation, a chilling realization washed over him, causing him to shudder violently. Why is it that even his remains are not spared? A voice filled with sorrow and indignation echoed as he knelt, cradling the scattered bones on the ground, tears streaming down his face, his voice trembling with despair. Chapter 301. The Star Spirit Emperor. This is the corpse of the Reincarnation Emperor. How could you? Shi Tianming, driven to madness, felt his long hair rise as if caught in a tempest, spiraling wildly in the air as he succumbed to a state of rage. He never imagined that after his father's slaying, even the body would not be preserved, but rather fragmented and fallen into the hands of these despicable, lowly star spirits. The downfall of such a peerless emperor was a deeply tragic fate. Shi Tianyu too was deeply affected. He had witnessed their father's demise and reacted with equal fervor. You shall pay with your life. The 2 brothers sprang to their feet, unleashing a shockwave of explosive energy as they vanished from their original positions, leaving a cloud of dust in their wake. They formed the reincarnation seal with their hands, directing it towards the frontmost quasi-emperor of the star spirits. The star spirit quasi-emperor wavered, his expression one of horror. Confronted by the 6 hollow whirlpools rushing towards him, he felt a portion of his own power being siphoned away. Kill! The star spirit quasi-emperor roared, drawing a massive ringed blade to meet the onslaught. With a thunderous crash, the surface of the earth was upheaved like crashing waves, rippling out for miles. Amidst the billowing smoke, the 2 brothers leapt into the air, harnessing the 6 paths of reincarnation to unleash their overwhelming force, descending with the might of reincarnation upon their foes. In an instant, the great circular blade shattered, causing profound sorrow to the star spirit sovereign. This was no ordinary weapon, but a sovereign artifact he had prepared for his path to enlightenment, now unexpectedly reduced to fragments. Enveloped by the power of time, the star spirit sovereign felt his lifespan swiftly diminish, with more than half of his vitality extinguished in mere moments. I recognize you as the 2 wildlings left by the reincarnation sanctuary. You on the right, you are the reincarnation saint body. He suddenly realized, acknowledging that only practitioners from the reincarnation sanctuary could unleash such bizarre techniques. Now you understand, it will make your demise clearer. The 2 brothers exchanged no further words, their murderous intent palpable as they advanced. Ha ha ha. With a path to heaven before you, you choose not to tread it, with no doors to hell. You arrive of your own accord. You shall not escape today. The star spirit sovereign's laughter echoed, revealing his lack of concern despite being ensnared in dire straits. A chill ran through the brothers as they sensed the oppressive atmosphere, as if an extraordinary figure had descended upon them. Noticing their cautious demeanor, the star spirit sovereign chuckled. I have come here following the star spirit emperor. What? The brother, Shi Tianming, exclaimed in shock. At that very moment, a wave of sword energy surged from the depths of the cosmos, woven from resplendent starlight, cleaving through 100,000 miles, annihilating all in its path. Boom. The imminent threat of destruction loomed, accompanied by a commanding voice. The saint body shall not escape today. Surrender willingly, and allow me to take you back. The magnificent figure of the star spirit emperor emerged from the clouds, his presence overshadowing the sky, manifesting only from the waist up on the horizon, single-handedly supporting the heavens. Brother, we must retreat. Shi Tianyu opened a reincarnation vortex and rushed toward Ji Xian's direction. Under the emperor, all are but ants. Do you truly believe you can flee? The sword wave obliterated dozens of mountain ranges, while a storm brewed above, akin to a stampede of countless steeds. If that is the case, what differentiates you from the ants? Ji Xian gently waved his sleeve, summoning the 2 brothers back to his side across several mountains. With a gesture, he directed an invisible force skyward, causing the 100,000 miles of sword wave to explode into fragments, showering the starry sky with a brilliant cascade of colorful energy. Who are you? The sudden appearance of Ji Xian took the Star Spirit Emperor by surprise, for he had not sensed his presence earlier. Who am I? The one here to end your life. Ji Xian replied coldly, casting the two brothers to the ancient sovereign of the galaxy, then stepping onto the ninth heaven, meeting the Star Spirit Emperor's gaze at eye level. If I am not mistaken, you are one of the Northern Dipper Emperors who besieged the Reincarnation Emperor, correct? Listen closely. You need only answer yes or no. He inquired of the Star Spirit Emperor. You speak with great audacity, esteemed as an emperor, yet looking down from your lofty perch. Huh. The Star Spirit Emperor scoffed, feeling disdainful. As the master of the celestial pivot Holy Land, a supreme being, he had never been belittled. Very well, incorrect response. It is time for you to depart. Ji Xian ceased his words and struck directly. Secretly communicating with Shi Tianyu, he instructed, good disciple, observe and learn well. This move is called the Six Paths Reincarnation Fist. Smack. Suddenly, the universe appeared as if it were on the brink of explosion. Enveloped in a terrifying flash of lightning, dense and overwhelming, occupying the vast expanse of the heavens. 6 colossal vortices emerged from the depths of the cosmos, descending from above, wielding an immense and formidable power. In this realm of darkness, they shone as eternal light. The 6 swirling voids, profound and mysterious, danced with the rules of time. Seeming capable of devouring and obliterating all, Ji Xian unleashed 6 reincarnation punches, achieving a state of profound silence, causing the outer plateau to rupture, stretching across millions of miles of land, splintering into countless fragments. Towering mountains plummeted like mere clods of earth into the depths of the universe. The practitioners of the Star Spirit clan were annihilated in an instant, while the ancient emperor of the galaxy staggered, bringing forth Shi Tianyu and Shi Tianming. Cold sweat trickled down his brow. Had he not fled swiftly, he might have met his demise. Before the punch even reached him, the Star Spirit Emperor coughed up a mouthful of blood, vibrant and multicolored, more dazzling than starlight. An emperor beyond the supreme realm? He felt utterly powerless. Sensing the celestial energy radiating from Ji Xian's fist, the disparity between the Supreme Realm and the Hundred Shackles realm was vast, separated by an unfathomable abyss. Boom. The punch struck, shattering the Star Spirit Emperor's body into fragments, streams of radiant blood gushing forth from within him, mesmerizing and resplendent. This was the power of starlight within him, representing his very essence. Ji Xian manipulated the 6 vortices, absorbing all the starlight. What is your intent? Do you spare my life only to humiliate me? The consciousness of the Star Spirit Emperor lingered faintly. Ji Xian shrugged, smiling. I have long sensed the vibrant starlight within you, flowing incessantly. I plan to reconstruct the Reincarnation Sacred Hall. Consider yourself as mere fertilizer for the flourishing of flowers and grasses. You, curse you. The Star Spirit Emperor, once exalted, found himself reduced to such a state, nourishing the growth of flora. I will not submit. You cannot confine me. He continued to struggle fiercely. A dignified emperor, revered among all, could not bear the thought of being used as mere manure. Yet, the true essence of the 6 paths could suppress the ages. An emperor of his stature was utterly incapable of breaking free. Within moments, his consciousness was completely refined, dissolving into a vibrant pool of liquid essence. At that moment, from the shattered body of the Star Spirit Emperor emerged an object, a sundial, exuding a rich aura of time. Ah, an explosive piece of equipment, Ji Xian remarked, reaching out to grasp it. Chapter 302, Ancestral Dragon, Candle 9 in the sundial, a device used by ancient ancestors to record the passage of time, was also an artifact of great antiquity. The sundial floated in Ji Xian's palm, emanating a hazy celestial light, indeed a treasure related to time. Upon further investigation, he realized it was the ancestral heirloom of the Reincarnation Sacred Hall, a quasi-immortal artifact. Below, the outer plateau, having been suppressed by the 6 reincarnation punches, shattered into countless pieces, with majestic mountains scattering throughout the cosmos, forming a circular planetary belt. Seeing the commotion subside, the ancient emperor of the galaxy, carrying Shi Tianyu and Shi Tianming, flew over, recognizing that his earlier concession had indeed been a prudent choice. One is not significantly stronger than the Star Spirit Emperor. Should he confront Ji Xian, he would likely be dispatched with a single blow. Shi Tianyu gazed vacantly at the celestial sundial, suspended in Ji Xian's grasp. Recalling events of the past. Indeed, that is the sundial of the Reincarnation Sanctuary, a rare sight, and I have only encountered it 2 or 3 times myself. Shi Tianming responded with excitement. With this artifact in hand, the sanctuary may have a chance of reconstruction. The group then descended upon a small asteroid where Ji Xian resided. Foster father is incredible, exclaimed the ancient galactic emperor, having taken human form. Shi Tianyu and Shi Tianming looked on with eager anticipation at the sundial, harboring an immature notion that they felt embarrassed to voice. Ji Xian, perceiving the brothers' intentions, casually dispatched the ancient galactic emperor with a kick and presented the sundial to Shi Tianyu. Take it. This is a legacy from your father. The sundial, radiating a hazy celestial light, hovered in the air, leaving the brothers momentarily dazed, as though caught in a dream. A quasi-celestial artifact, transcending imperial weaponry. was so nonchalantly returned to them. Both brothers were sensible enough not to reach for it. Despite its rightful ownership, the merit belonged to Ji Xian this time. Shi Tianyu spoke hesitantly. Master, we. Ji Xian interrupted. No need for formality. I still possess a few celestial artifacts. Accept it. The brothers exchanged glances, gasping in disbelief. Their minds racing with unrealistic thoughts. You still have several celestial artifacts? You foolish boy, what are you waiting for? Accept it. Shi Tianming discreetly nudged Shi Tianyu. Oh, very well, thank you, master. Shi Tianyu accepted the sundial and stored it in the ancestral storage pouch. Ding! Simultaneously, a notification echoed in Ji Xian's mind. Detected that the host has gifted a quasi-celestial sundial X1, triggering a return multiplier of 12 million. Acquired a half-ancestor level celestial beast, one of the ancestral dragons. Zhu Jiuyin, what the heck? Upon hearing the term half-ancestor, Ji Xian was taken aback and exclaimed, System, are you playing such a grand game now? Host, do not be overly surprised. Zhu Jiuyin is the deity of mountains, seas, and time, excessively powerful, unable to be contained within the realms of heaven and earth. The system requires adjustment of its strength. According to the strength limit of the heavens and earth, Zhu Jiuyin will be adjusted to the peak of the ascending realm. Should the heavens and earth give rise to a celestial being, its strength will escalate to the celestial level. Explanation complete. Soon, within the system's space, a crimson dragon appeared, with a human head and dragon body, stretching over an unknown expanse. Ji Xian glanced at Zhu Jiuyin's attributes. Zhu Jiuyin, adjusted peak of the ascending realm, deity of mountains, seas, and time. Progenitor of the dragon clan, when invoking divine techniques, closing its eyes brings forth night, while opening them heralds dawn. Come forth. With Ji Xian's command, the void trembled violently, and a colossal rift across the cosmos emerged, gradually widening. A deep, rumbling growl unique to dragons resonated, causing the stars to dim and the earth to quake, as the very essence of the universe responded in unison. What is about to emerge? The ancient Galaxy Emperor was astounded, not due to cowardice, but rather because he sensed an overwhelming force emanating from the dragon's roar, a force that rendered him incapable of resistance. The phrase cannot resist occupied his mind. As a supreme being, a figure capable of dominating a realm, he now found himself trembling and cowering behind Ji Xian. The brothers Shi Tianyu and Shi Tianming were equally horrified, a chill racing from their heels to the crown of their heads, fully aware that a great terror was about to descend. In the distance, a starry sea erupted, brilliant starlight cascading like a waterfall in all directions. A colossal figure materialized in the cosmos, a massive crimson dragon, its body adorned with blackish-red scales, its formidable claws capable of seizing an entire universe, radiating an aura of destruction. Its head was peculiarly elongated, adorned with a bone mask resembling a human face. At its brow was a vertical eye, emanating golden light, half open and half closed, as if suppressing something. Upon beholding this dragon, the ancient Galaxy Emperor was struck with fear, feeling as insignificant as a mere loach in comparison to its grandeur. The dragon before him was akin to a small universe in size. The stars themselves would collapse upon contact, as easily as fine sand blown by the wind. Zhu Jiuyin, having recognized its master, lowered its massive head in submission before Ji Xian. Is this real? Gasped the ancient Galaxy Emperor and his brothers in astonishment. Where had Ji Xian conjured such a one-eyed dragon from? Ji Xian nodded and instructed, indeed, reduce your size. Being too large hinders movement. The dragon was indeed colossal, blocking the black starry sky behind it. With a mighty roar, Zhu Jiuyin unleashed a torrent of dragon breath, shattering a portion of the starry expanse. Almost immediately, its size began to diminish rapidly, shrinking to a mere 1/10,000th of its original form within moments. Even in this reduced state, it still surpassed the ancient Galaxy Emperor in size. Ji Xian elegantly flicked his robe and stepped onto Zhu Jiuyin's head. Facing away from the others, he declared, "This matter is concluded. Let us return to Yuanming Tian." Understood. The others cautiously approached the dragon, their souls nearly escaping their bodies from sheer fright. Particularly the ancient Galaxy Emperor, whose legs had gone numb. He questioned, I have not pursued the path of transformation into a dragon. Why am I still subjected to the dragon race's suppression? With a hand resting on a dragon horn, Ji Xian gazed into the distance and instructed Zhu Jiuyin on the precise direction to take. The dragon's roar resonated throughout the universe, causing the realms beyond to tremble, stirring countless beings. Zhu Jiuyin soared into the sky, spiraling before plunging into a sea of stars, heading towards Yuanming Tian. Chapter 303, The Extreme North Celestial Mountain. Rebuilding the reincarnation holy temple in the void, Zhu Jiuyin propelled its immense dragon form at remarkable speed. Shi Tianyu and the others stood atop its head, walking gingerly on tiptoe, fearful of inadvertently hurting this being and being cast off. Originally a divine beast of the celestial path, even in its suppressed state at the pinnacle of the ascension realm, it retained an aura of profound celestial energy. For the monk himself, the celestial aura signifies fortune. Yet for others, it embodies a perilous threat of annihilation. Tianyu, seated in meditation, softly called out, "Master, I am here." At that moment, Shi Xianyu approached on tiptoe. "This is the reincarnation imperial seal left to you by your father. It can assist you in overcoming the tribulations of reincarnation." Ji Xian produced a golden insignia from his sleeve and handed it to him. "It was left by my father." "Thank you, master." Shi Xianyu's breath quickened as he extended his trembling hands to receive the golden insignia. He surmised that his father must have foreseen his demise, thereby preparing such a measure. The golden insignia was indeed the reincarnation imperial seal, forged by the reincarnation immortal sovereign before he attained immortality, beneficial for any immortal sovereign undergoing tribulation. As a fellow reincarnation sacred body, he would naturally reap its advantages. Ding! The system's prompt resonated once more in Ji Xian's mind. Detected that the host has been gifted an imperial item. Reincarnation Imperial Seal X1, triggering a return probability of 9,130,000 times. Acquired Extreme North Immortal Mountain X1, a mountain of immortals, precisely what I desire. Ji Xian gazed upon the majestic and clustered immortal mountains within the system's realm. Extreme North Immortal Mountain, a dwelling for immortals, where seasonal changes occur vertically and day and night differ horizontally. Cultivating or establishing a sect upon this mountain bestows great fortune. It was just right for the reconstruction of the Reincarnation Sacred Hall. A year later, they returned together to the Yuanming Heaven. After 3 millennia away, the flames of war on this land had intensified. Compared to when they departed, at least 1/3 of the grand sects and teachings had perished. These were all entities that had stood for tens of thousands, even millions of years, yet they succumbed, one after another, over the course of these 3,000 years, rendered obsolete by the tides of time. Correspondingly, numerous smaller sects began to flourish. As the saying goes, beside the sunken boat, 1,000 sails pass, before the sick tree. 10,000 woods bloom in spring. They emerged like fresh grass and leaves born upon the battlefield, often stained with blood, yet their momentum of development was swift and unstoppable. The Yuanming Heaven was a tapestry of competing doctrines, each striving to outshine the others. However, Yuanming Heaven was merely a microcosm. After 3 millennia, the entire realm of the 9 heavens and 10 earths had undergone drastic transformations. In the vast desolation, the common folk were displaced, troubled by the ravages of war. Their loved ones lost, and their own lives in jeopardy. The greatest victims of this calamity were indeed them, helpless and fragile. Even those with some cultivation found it difficult to survive. Even the Holy Realm cultivators were felled like chives, one after another. What hope did they have? "Master, we have arrived at the place you spoke of," said Zhu Juyin. Ji Xian opened his eyes, leaping down from the dragon's head, standing in midair, gazing down at the ravaged landscape below. The Reincarnation Sacred Hall spanned 4 to 5 million miles. Now, it lay in ruins, with debris scattered about. The western winds blew through, leaving a desolate scene, neglected by all. The remnants of Ji Xian's past might still linger here, transforming this place into a forbidden ground, where none dared to tread. "Brother, we have arrived." Shi Tianming glanced at the slumbering Shi Tianyu, wiping away the traces of tears from his dreams. Suddenly, Shi Tianyu seized Shi Tianming's garment and burst into his embrace, weeping uncontrollably. "Oh, dear brother, we are now orphans, for our parents are no longer with us. The home we once knew has vanished, leaving us bereft." Shi Tianming did not resist, allowing his younger brother's tears to fall upon his chest. He understood that his sibling had yet to awaken from his slumber. Observing them, the ancient emperor of the Milky Way felt a pang of sorrow. His nose tinged with emotion as he took out a white handkerchief and joined in the weeping. He had long forgotten the visage of his own parents, having been alone for several 100,000 years. Choosing the path of evolution for primordial beings comes with such solitude. Nurtured by the earth, devoid of kin or bonds, nothing remains. Ultimately, when one ascends to the pinnacle of existence as a holy spirit, although they may gaze down upon the ages, they are utterly alone, with no one to stand beside them. This is the essence of true loneliness. "Come down," Ji Xian beckoned them. Shi Tianyu awoke, wiping away his tears with his sleeve, and together with Shi Tianming, they leaped into the abyss. The ancient emperor of the Milky Way, still lingering in contemplation, could not help but inquire, "Father, do you feel lonely?" In his eyes, Ji Xian, as a holy spirit, standing here must be a manifestation of some supreme existence, playing among mortals. Ji Xian paused, glancing back at the majestic divine shadow that loomed behind him, then smiled at the ancient emperor, stating, "Loneliness? How can one speak of loneliness without having witnessed the heights of the peaks?" With that, he descended like a gentle breeze, vanishing from the ancient emperor's sight. The ancient emperor's heart stirred. If his father was so formidable yet still sought to ascend further, he too must not be left behind. Amidst the ruins, where mountains and rivers had been obliterated and buildings collapsed, a place that once birthed immortals had vanished in mere millennia. Shi Tianyu gazed upon the desolation, his heart heavy with sorrow. This was once his home, now reduced to such a pitiful state, evoking a sense of injustice. A flame of fury ignited within him, promising that one day, with mastery over his cultivation, he would crush the northern dipper beneath his feet. "Follow me," Ji Xian commanded. striding toward the depths of the ruins. Shi Tianyu, puzzled by his master's intent, looked to Shi Tianming, who merely shook his head in silence, urging him to follow. Zhu Jiuyin swiftly shrank in size, transforming into a small black and red dragon that settled upon Ji Xian's shoulder, yawning before drifting into slumber. The five-colored sparrow, noticing the new occupant on the other shoulder, showed no signs of displeasure, but rather approached with familiarity, chattering away. However, Zhu Jiuyin remained aloof, ignoring its advances. Emergence of the extreme northern immortal mountain. Ji Xian declared from atop a towering peak, summoning the fabled mountain. A vibrant, seven-colored light flashed, and the majestic mountain materialized, dominating the wasteland. The towering structure stretched endlessly, enveloped in a mist of ethereal aura. It manifested the four seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter, in distinct layers. Spring willows, summer locusts, autumn maples, and winter plums formed lush forests, where a gentle breeze stirred, producing melodious sounds akin to celestial music, refreshing the spirit. Horizontally, it depicted the separation of day and night, with half cloaked in darkness and the other bathed in light, as a great sun and luminous moon revolved in harmony, showering boundless radiance upon the land. In that moment, Shi Tianming was utterly mesmerized. The mountain before him was breathtakingly beautiful, so much so that it rendered one breathless. "Senior, is this?" he inquired. Ji Xian turned away, waving his sleeve, and an immense radiance of creation cascaded forth. A vibrant, multicolored rain descended from the sky, showering the land, causing flora and blossoms to flourish abundantly. This was the vitality residing within the body of the Starry Sky Emperor. In the blink of an eye, the desolate earth was rejuvenated, and everything was hastening towards revival. With the body of an emperor serving as nourishment, the vast landscapes would once again witness the dawn of a new era. Ji Xian stepped into the depths of the mountain, leaving behind a fleeting silhouette that was soon enveloped by mist, disappearing entirely. Yet, his serene voice resonated throughout the heavens. "This emperor intends to re-establish the reincarnation sanctuary. I shall oversee this place from now on." His tone bore no hint of emotion, yet this singular declaration struck profoundly at the hearts of the two brothers. They embraced each other in tears, overwhelmed by a mix of emotion and joy. "Brother, our home has returned." Chapter 304. The Reincarnation Celestial Palace 5 years later. Atop the extreme north celestial mountain, grand palaces stood in abundance, clustered together. The ruins below had been meticulously cleared, and hundreds of thousands of citizens gradually migrated, establishing towns and villages in this place, settling down. Under Ji Xian's guidance, the once destroyed faction subtly hinted at a resurgence. Within the palace, Ji Xian and Shi Tianyu sat together, discussing the establishment of a new faith. "Adoptive father, I wonder if I should speak my mind." The ancient emperor of the galaxy began. "Speak freely. I believe the newly established sect should not retain the name Reincarnation Sanctuary. This faction was obliterated due to the cataclysmic forces of nature. Naming it thus may hinder its development," he articulated. Shi Tianming nodded in agreement, stating, "Indeed. While it pains me, I must concede that our Reincarnation Sanctuary has been rendered obsolete. Whether by ambush or overwhelming assault, its annihilation is an undeniable fact. Therefore, senior, let us choose a new name. We shall honor you as the leader." Upon hearing this, Ji Xian's face twitched slightly, his composure momentarily disrupted. "Isn't the name Reincarnation Sanctuary quite pleasant? Is it truly necessary to change it?" he questioned. He stammered, clearing his throat. This emperor also shares that sentiment. He lightly tapped his chin with a fist to mask his inner embarrassment. "Brother, what is your opinion?" Shi Tianming turned to the despondent Shi Tianyu. "Since the master has spoken, I shall defer to the consensus," Shi Tianyu replied, rubbing his perplexed face. The ancient emperor of the galaxy gazed at the majestic celestial palaces outside, deep in thought. He abruptly slapped the table and proposed, "How about we call it the Reincarnation Celestial Palace?" Just as Ji Xian was about to agree and conclude the discussion, Shi Tianming interjected, "Senior Galaxy. That may not be prudent. In the absence of the celestial era, naming an everlasting force with the character celestial carries significant karmic implications, and it could invoke divine retribution. In the ancient era, only the ancient celestial court dared to bear the name celestial, yet it was the mightiest force across the realms. I fear we may not be able to uphold that weight." The ancient emperor of the Milky Way nodded slightly and remarked, "There are indeed such sayings. Consider it as if I have not spoken. I have long been in seclusion, unfamiliar with worldly affairs, and I cannot comprehend such matters." With a light tap of her fingers against the table, Ji Xian stated, "This will suffice. The Reincarnation Immortal Palace." The others turned their gazes toward him, eager to discern the rationale behind his choice. Could it be that Ji Xian possesses means to counteract the overwhelming forces of heaven and earth? He waved his hand dismissively. "Do not worry. I shall bear all consequences. Let us cease this topic here. No more discussions about names. The mere thought of naming gives me a headache. The sooner it is decided, the sooner we can move on." He cared little for the annihilation decreed by the cosmic order, with the divine ancestral destiny upon him. No one could overshadow him in fortune, not even the Tao of heaven itself. Suddenly, a crimson plaque soared through the void, devoid of any inscriptions. Ji Xian wielded his finger like a brush, releasing rays of golden light as he inscribed the 4 golden characters: Reincarnation Immortal Palace. At that moment, the sky reverberated with the sound of rolling thunder, as if divine retribution were about to descend. Goodness, could it truly be coming? The ancient emperor of the Milky Way stammered. Adopt a different name. It would not be impossible. He was particularly wary of the heavenly punishments that could befall him due to his path of innate origins. A single misstep could lead to irreversible consequences. Ji Xian furrowed his brow, and an ethereal figure of a deity manifested behind him, towering into the clouds. I establish my teachings here. Do you have any objections? The divine figure confronted the celestial thunderstorm above. A bolt of golden lightning surged forth, casting a shadow over the deity's form. Humph! The deity swatted the golden light away, dispersing the thunderclouds, and the resounding echoes of thunder vanished without a trace. Very well, the matter is settled now. Ji Xian returned to himself, grasping the plaque firmly in his hand. Master, there is an approaching army at the foot of the mountain, Zhu Jiuyin suddenly conveyed telepathically to Ji Xian. What is happening today that naming causes so much commotion? Ji Xian felt an unsettling discomfort within. He inquired, what army? My subordinate is unaware. They claim to seek the sect leader here, Zhu Jiuyin replied. Very well, let us investigate. He rose swiftly and vanished from the hall, making his way down the mountain. At the foot of the mountain, a group of cultivators clad in starry armor stood poised, wielding long swords and daggers. Facing the gates of the extreme north immortal mountain, their combative spirit palpable. With a flash of brilliance, Ji Xian materialized upon the steps of the mountain gate, surveying the cultivators from a lofty vantage point. The leading commander quickly regained his composure and inquired, you must be the person in charge here. What business do you have in establishing your teachings in this place? As he spoke, he tightened his grip on his spear, regarding the inscrutable figure of the man in white before him, feeling a surge of eagerness for confrontation. Oh, in the grand contest for dominance. Whoever seizes it claims it as their own. Where's the notion of invasion? Ji Xian responded with a smile. You are not entirely mistaken. Yet do you not realize that this is territory claimed by our North Dipper Holy Land? Surely, one must acknowledge the order of precedence. Tension thickened in the air, as it became evident that the North Dipper group harbored ill intentions. The North Dipper Holy Land. Then there is little left to discuss. I have long heard of your kind, those insignificant ants encroaching upon the sacred grounds of the Cycle Temple. Now that everything is in place, it is time for you to regurgitate what you have consumed. With that, Ji Xian produced a crimson plaque inscribed with Cycle Immortal Palace and hung it prominently above the mountain gate. The audacity of the Cycle Immortal Palace is indeed remarkable. So, you intend to stand against us, the Northern Dipper Holy Land? A general rode forth, his spear emitting a chilling silver light, glistening with a menacing aura. To oppose me? You overestimate your worth. Ji Xian lightly raised his hand, and a massive palm imprint descended from the heavens, crushing the cavalry behind him into a grotesque pulp. In an instant, a foul stench permeated the air, and the plaza before the mountain gate was cloaked in blackened blood and mangled flesh. You Emperor! The general's voice was choked, unable to utter a single word. With a sharp crack, at the moment Ji Xian turned to close the mountain gate, the general's head flew off, landing heavily with a thud. Zhu Jiuyin, henceforth, when adversaries approach with weapons, you may act decisively without my consultation, Ji Xian instructed. This dragon, though formidable, is perhaps a touch too naive. Yet, Ji Xian bore him no ill will. Their power was newly established, and it was only natural for visitors to appear. With Zhu Jiuyin watching his master's demeanor, in this regard, he was far superior to that unruly river deity. Oh, understood, master. After a brief response, he fell silent. What transpired, master? Shi Tianyu and others descended from the sky. Having noticed Ji Xian's sudden departure, they feared something ominous had occurred. Nothing of consequence. Merely eliminating a swarm of northern dipper flies, Ji Xian replied casually, ascending the steps towards the mountain. The northern dipper has sent emissaries? What do they seek? The two brothers exchanged glances, their eyes filled with animosity. The northern dipper was their arch-nemesis. Ji Xian suddenly recalled something. Turning back to instruct the two, from this day forth, with the establishment of the Cycle Immortal Palace, I appoint you two as Vice Palace Masters, with Zhu Jiuyin as the guardian beast of the mountain. In my absence, you two shall wield full authority over the Cycle Immortal Palace. And what of our share? The brothers expressed disbelief, a glimmer of intrigue and a hint of joy flashing in their eyes. Naturally, this power is not only for the Dao sect's consideration, but also for your benefit. Ji Xian smiled. Shi Tianyu and Shi Tianming were deeply moved. Ji Xian was entrusting such a significant power into their hands, a testament to his immense trust. Very well, let us embark on the first step. Reclaim the lost territories of the Cycle Holy Land and eradicate the remnants of the Northern Dipper's forces. Ji Xian declared. Yes. Chapter 305. The War of Yuan Mingxian. A grand scheme unfolds in the 10th year since the establishment of the Cycle Immortal Palace. All lost territories were reclaimed. The disciples of the Northern Dipper Holy Land were routed, retreating in disarray, suffering significant losses. During this time, a mighty emperor from the Northern Dipper attempted to battle. But with Zhu Juin's emergence, all was subdued. Even the great Dao threatened to collapse, and the invading emperor could not withstand a single blow, disintegrating into ashes. The Northern Dipper Holy Lands were greatly shaken, and the wounded emperor had no choice but to retreat early to stabilize the situation. They swiftly devised a strategy, intending to eradicate the remnants of the Reincarnation Holy Temple. However, upon realizing that Ji Xian was orchestrating the operations, this initiative was promptly shelved. The Dao sect was flourishing, having dominated the 3,000 states for millennia, consistently forcing the myriad races to retreat, effectively establishing its hegemony in the region. Moreover, the practitioners of the Dao sect were shining brilliantly in various locales such as the Divine Ancient Dock, the Northern Sea, and the Bai Luo Heavenly Border, instilling immense trepidation among the various factions. With such formidable momentum, none dared to confront them directly. Ji Xian, within a remarkably short span, had assembled a superpower, evoking admiration from the brothers Shi Tianyu and Shi Tianming. After witnessing his decisive and vigorous methods, the brothers finally understood the rapid ascent of the Dao sect. There was no hesitation. They acted with audacity. This was a manifestation of confidence and a reflection of profound depth. Under Ji Xian's leadership, the Reincarnation Immortal Palace shone resplendently in the realm of Yuanming Tian, contending fiercely and carving out a dominion for itself. The prominence of competing factions was overshadowed entirely. They were all deeply concerned about Ji Xian's potential aggression towards them. Following the collapse of the Reincarnation Holy Temple, Yuanming Tian erupted into chaos. With the fall of this colossal dragon that had overshadowed all, the realm lost its central pillar. Presently, the remaining major powers teetered on the brink of collapse, while the smaller factions were too feeble to withstand the existence of a giant like the Reincarnation Immortal Palace. A faction of these powers spontaneously formed a super alliance to confront the impending upheaval. History would prove their choice to be sagacious. In the century since the establishment of the Reincarnation Holy Temple, Ji Xian had dispatched troops against the major sects of Yuanming Tian. Over the years, he had reclaimed lost territories, recruited soldiers, and with reinforcements from Xianzhou, had formed a formidable army. In terms of strength, it was by no means inferior to that of the native forces in the 3,000 states. Undoubtedly, the sects of Yuanming Tian were relentlessly defeated, their morale plummeting, with many soldiers surrendering on the spot, joining the Immortal Palace. Ultimately, a grand battle erupted amidst a starlit sky, with tens of thousands of ships traversing the cosmos, cannons roaring, causing the starry seas to collapse and staining the heavens with blood. Yuanming Tian faced utter defeat, nearly obliterated. During this tumult, a great emperor, incensed, sought to personally descend upon the battlefield to annihilate the forces of the Immortal Palace. The ancient emperor of the galaxy then entered the fray, though timid and somewhat inept. His combat prowess was not lacking. When the Supreme Being emerged, a mighty emperor in the Dharma aspect realm was swiftly slain with mere slaps, only to be devoured by the ancient emperor of the galaxy for the cultivation of the innate path. He twisted his enormous form, rampaging across the battlefield, continuously provoking the allied forces, and before their very eyes, consumed the remains of that emperor entirely. This engagement plunged the sects of Yuanming Tian into complete despair. Their hope, the emperor who suppressed all, had been obliterated in an instant. Just as a supreme being contemplated intervening, they were restrained by the elders of the sections. After the deaths of the two emperors of the Reincarnation Holy Temple, Yuanming Tian was left with few practitioners at the supreme level or above. In the present day, engaging in battle would only serve to disadvantage oneself, especially considering the unfathomable dragon residing within the Immortal Palace, which would likely prove overwhelming even for a supreme being. Ultimately, the Immortal Palace sent forth an invitation for the leaders of various sects to convene for negotiations, aligning perfectly with their intentions. At the extreme northern peak of the Immortal Mountain, amidst a cliff adorned with blooming peach blossoms, the gentle spring breeze wafted through, as clouds drifted lazily, enhancing the ethereal mist that enveloped the forest. At the far end, a stone table and chairs were arranged, where Shi Tianyu and Shi Tianming sat opposite each other. They have arrived, reminded the ancient emperor of the galaxy. The two brothers gathered their spirits, ready to engage in discussions. From time to time, the mist parted, and a dozen elderly figures entered, each one venerable, with terrifying levels of cultivation, the majority being quasi-emperors. Leading the procession were two emperors, aged and frail, their movements unsteady. Yet their gestures radiated starlight, resonating with the laws of the universe. Without a doubt, they were two supreme beings, an elderly man and an aged woman. "Please, have a seat," Shi Tianming offered with utmost courtesy, though as the vice-master, he felt a twinge of apprehension in the presence of such authority. To have two younglings who have yet to ascend to the throne of emperors receive us is somewhat disrespectful, remarked the elder emperor, visibly displeased. His hair was a silver gray, his face lined with deep wrinkles, and in his hand, he wielded a dragonwood staff that exuded a fragrant aroma. This was a celestial wood, refined into a weapon, possessing the might to stabilize the world. Shi Tianming offered an awkward smile. "We are the representatives here, and in terms of rank. We hold the qualifications to meet with you. Humph. The elder grunted dismissively, taking his seat upon the foremost stone bench. The elder woman followed suit, her expression equally displeased. It was customary for beings of equal standing to meet them. The quasi-emperors behind them felt a wave of anxiety, fearing that the two ancestral beings might not tolerate this affront and cause a ruckus within the immortal palace, bringing calamity upon the teachings of Yuanming. They had spent considerable time persuading these two to attend. Otherwise, with their tempers, even an eternal level force would find itself obliterated. After a prolonged silence, Shi Tianyu spoke. The purpose of summoning you here is merely to request the submission of your sects to our immortal palace. As soon as these words left his lips, a stunned silence enveloped the assembly. Who could have anticipated such an audacious opening? What had happened to the promised negotiations? The quasi-emperors exchanged glances, bewildered, as they regarded the two self-proclaimed representatives. How could they dare speak so in front of two supreme beings? Preposterous. With a sudden eruption, the elder rose, and his mere aura shattered a section of the cliff. The earth and rocks behind him plummeted into the abyss, the sound echoing long after. Do you presume this emperor to be easily trifled with? How dare you, mere youngsters, utter such insolence? Bring forth your true emperors to meet me. At once. His anger was palpable, eyes blazing. Were it appear who had spoken so, he might have dismissed it as jest, closing his ears to forget. However, an emperor's dignity must not be tarnished. How dared these youngsters presume so? The elder woman also gradually rose, her entire being emanating a ghostly light, causing the surrounding temperature to plummet and frost to form upon the peach blossoms. Faced with such provocation, her composure was eerily unsettling, suggesting she was a person of considerable restraint and ferocity. My young friend, this is indeed a bit excessive. Summon your elders to meet me. The two supreme beings, their murderous intent palpable, were already on the brink of combat, unable to contain themselves any longer. Humph. Do you truly consider yourself a figure of significance? In a flash of silver, the ancient emperor of the galaxy descended, emanating an aura of supreme power that countered the hostility of the two. If one wishes to follow the path of the adoptive father, it is imperative to demonstrate one's worth at critical moments. The old woman gazed at the ancient emperor of the galaxy, her dark eyes shimmering, and stated, "You are the villain who murdered my Emperor Fong." Upon hearing this, the ancient emperor adjusted his ears, flicked his tongue, and chuckled. Do not wrongfully accuse me. I am not even human, so how could I be a villain? His demeanor was utterly contemptible. The old woman shot him a glare and fell silent. The old man, not one to mince words, asserted, though you may be supreme, we are here. How dare you challenge us? Does that mean you are the one in charge here? Is there not a dragon of sorts? Let him come forth to face this emperor. He bellowed. Suddenly, from the mountains, a low rumble resonated, causing both supreme beings to tremble, their fists clenched, their expressions shifting to one of grave concern, as if facing a formidable adversary. Chapter 306, Negotiation? Notification. Subduing the primordial sun, a dragon's roar echoed, shaking the very mountains. The air rippled like a curtain of water, intermittently revealing the form of a dragon. It coiled through the mountains, impossibly colossal. The cliff on which the group stood was scarcely the size of a single scale. Zhu Jiuyin lowered his dragon head, exhaling gently. The gust of wind roared like thunder, sending the two supreme beings flying. Bang! The old man rolled across the ground countless times. The peachwood striking down a multitude of trees, ultimately crashing into a massive boulder, embedding himself within it, unable to extricate himself. The old woman fared no better. Half of her body obliterated, as she had just exerted her power to resist in that fleeting moment. Coughing violently, the old man spat blood, his complexion turning ghostly pale as he regarded the immense dragon head, his heart quaking. Just a single breath had severely injured him. What manner of being was this? After a long silence, Zhu Jiuyin spoke. You wish to see me. What is it you desire? His tone was nonchalant. Yet to the ears of the two supreme beings, it resonated like the harbinger of death. You. The old man dared not voice his anger. The dragon before him was overwhelmingly powerful, likely at least at the level of the 100 chains or beyond. The old woman also remained silent, grievously wounded, her entire body nearly obliterated. Noting their silence, Zhu Jiuyin rotated his colossal eyes, surveying his surroundings before continuing. If you cannot articulate your intentions, you shall remain here forever. Having destroyed so many of my master's peach blossoms, it would be fitting to bury you both here, serving as nourishment to sustain them. The peach blossoms on the celestial mountain are precious. You cannot afford to compensate for them. Upon hearing this, the two supreme beings widened their eyes, exchanging incredulous glances, their expressions betraying their shock. Master, this dragon is already so powerful, yet it speaks of a master? Could it be the legendary immortal? The old man's mind was in turmoil, realizing that the cycle immortal palace indeed harbored profound secrets. Should you wish for a truce, summon your master to speak. The old man declared, straightening his posture. Refusing a toast only invites a penalty drink. With a disdainful snort, Zhu Jiuyin's half-open vertical eye unleashed a piercing golden beam that penetrated the old man's brow, extinguishing the flame of his primordial spirit. He was dead. The two seated quasi-emperors sprang to their feet, pallor washing over their faces, their lips turning a shade of deep violet. Unable to restrain themselves, they staggered towards the old man's position. He is truly dead. Oh heavens, this will lead to great chaos. One quasi-emperor fell to his knees, his frail form resembling a gnarled tree, yet he wept like a child in despair. Ancestral spirit, ancestral spirit. The remaining elders followed suit, kneeling in sorrow. A formidable sovereign had fallen just like that. Shi Tianming and Shi Tianyu stood in bewilderment, clearly unable to comprehend the gravity of the situation. How could such a legendary sovereign simply vanish? The ancient galactic emperor displayed a demeanor of calm. He had long understood the true nature of this dragon. A being capable of consuming several star systems in a single meal, surely not an ordinary entity. Did you not claim you would negotiate with us? How can you be so tyrannical as to slay one of our sovereigns outright? The old matron stammered, her voice trembling with fear. Even she could not maintain her composure, for she realized she might be the next to perish. Negotiate. This is clearly a summons. Suddenly, a sharp voice echoed from the distant sky. Clad in white, a figure descended gracefully, his flowing sleeves like soaring swans, and his black hair cascading like a river. He landed atop Zhu Jiuyin's head, gazing down imperiously at the old matron. You are the master spoken of by this dragon, she surmised, sensing the weight of his presence. It was evident that one who stood atop such a paragon of strength was no ordinary being. How peculiar, she mused, unable to discern his cultivation aura. A torrent of thoughts flooded her mind, leaving her in a state of agitation. Ji Xian descended from the dragon's crown, his white garments fluttering like banners, and took a seat upon a stone chair on the cliffside, sipping from his teapot. We pay our respects, esteemed master, the two brothers exclaimed, rising swiftly to bow before dutifully standing to the side, remaining silent. The old matron felt a tightening in her chest, a foreboding sense of dread. How many sovereigns remain in your pitiful alliance, Yuan Ming Tian? Or perhaps, how many possess strength beyond the sovereign level? Ji Xian inquired with nonchalance. The matron hesitated before responding. Originally, there were 4 sovereigns, now only 3 remain. There is one emperor of the 100 Shackles realm, but his lifespan is nearly at an end, having sealed himself away. Upon hearing this, Ji Xian replied, since you represent the alliance on this mission, you must possess some decision-making authority. Thus, I decree that you may decide to merge Yuan Ming Tian's Holy Land Alliance into my reincarnation Immortal Palace. Remember, you have no room to negotiate with me. The old matron grappled with her thoughts, ultimately conceding. The strength of the reincarnation Immortal Palace would surely deter any opposition from the elder factions. Moreover, in this tumultuous world, where everyone lived in fear, even if they formed an alliance, it would be rife with internal strife and instability. Even if the reincarnation Immortal Palace refrains from directly dismantling them, other formidable powers will inevitably emerge, compelling their submission. Taking the example of the Northern Dippers' celestial sacred lands sending troops for punitive measures, the fate of the reincarnation sanctuary stands as the most compelling evidence. Ultimately, Ji Xian compelled these individuals to swear an oath before allowing their return, and as they departed, they were permitted to take with them the corpse of the old supreme. This outcome was entirely within Ji Xian's expectations, for it was a negotiation devoid of suspense, as well as a conflict without uncertainty. 3 years later, the Emperor of the 100 Chains realm, accompanied by 3 supreme beings, arrived to express their willingness to submit. The Emperor was indeed aged, his body marked with dark spots, a harbinger of imminent transcendence. Ji Xian, known for his sense of reason, agreed to offer them protection within the grand world, yet insisted on their absolute loyalty to the Immortal Palace and the Dao sect. Another 3 years passed, and after the reorganization of the Yuanming heavenly realm, the entirety of the 9 heavens and 10 earths fell unequivocally under Ji Xian's dominion. This was a staggering revelation. Historically, apart from the ancient Immortal Court and the Heavenly Sword Palace, no faction had ever managed to monopolize a day or a region. Yet the Dao sect achieved this. During this period, it was rumored that the Dao sect had nearly seized over half of the territories of the 3,000 states, compelling other factions to retreat in disarray, subtly hinting at a burgeoning supremacy. The title of Xian Emperor surged in popularity across these lands, becoming a frequent topic of conversation among the populace. The Dao sect's celestial fortune had reached an astonishing 30%. Within the Immortal Palace, Ji Xian surveyed the system panel before him, nodding in approval. He had progressed another step closer to his goal of establishing the Heavenly Court, with only a handful of steps remaining. The growth of fortune would also aid the disciples in their cultivation, and he speculated that the day when several of the young ones would break through to the Great Sage level was not far off. Suddenly, several transmission talismans flew in from outside the hall, originating from the Divine Ancient Dock and the Dao Sect headquarters. Chapter 307, A Letter in Midair. 2 golden transmission talismans hovered. One was from the Imperial Knight at the Divine Ancient Dock, and the other from Ao Tian at the Dao Sect. Let us first hear from this lad Ao Tian. He likely has some joyous news, Ji Xian chuckled. Much must have transpired within the Dao Sect during his absence. The scene flickered, and lines of golden characters automatically emerged. Young master, Yuer has given birth to a boy. I have named him Ao Shang, and he resembles me. With blue dragon horns. He is now over 500 years old, very well behaved, and diligently cultivates. All is well within the Dao sect. Over 1,000 years since your departure, the Kunping Emperor visited, stating he would no longer guard the North Sea, but would instead travel to reconnect with old friends. He mentioned that prolonged oversight of the North Sea would hinder its development. With his departure, the forces of the underworld mountain might emerge, threatening the 3,000 states. However, he felt reassured by your previous words that the Dao sect would ensure safety. A young man with red hair also visited, introducing himself as Zhang Tian. From the North Sea, seeking to lead the Sea God sect into the Dao sect. His aura is incredibly potent, and I sensed he could be a great emperor. The river god has agreed to this arrangement, assuring he would exercise discretion. Yuer expressed that she senses the imminent emergence of the celestial ancient being, urging you to prepare in advance. I have already transcended to the great sage level, and I hope to be of assistance to you in the near future. Young master, it has been an exceedingly long time since your departure, perhaps several millennia. Ao Tian misses you dearly. Each day, I recount your tales to Sheng, who also longs to meet you. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot to mention that the monkey ventured out and was captured by a group of monks from the Great Brahma. These bald-headed fellows claim that the monkey is destined to connect with Buddhism and wish to cultivate his Buddha nature. I am uncertain how to proceed and could only inform you. The golden characters dimmed instantly, returning to silence. Yet, Ao Tian's longing for Ji Xian lingered in the air, refusing to dissipate. This lad, Ao Tian, has grown, established a family, and welcomed children. Ji Xian feels a sense of comfort. In his heart, he has always regarded Ao Tian as his son, and witnessing him live happily evokes warmth and satisfaction that cultivation and strength cannot provide. Regarding the Kunping Emperor, Ji Xian had anticipated that acquiring the celestial root would inevitably influence him. As for Sun Huang, Ji Xian opened the system panel and clicked on Sun Huang's avatar. This lad is currently at the Great Thunder Sound Temple, and the status bar indicates safety. It seems that the monks harbor no ill intentions towards him. They genuinely wish for him to embrace Buddhism. Ji Xian couldn't help but chuckle. Finally, someone besides him can keep this mischievous monkey in check. He felt no concern. For Sun Huang possesses an inherent devilish nature. Letting those monks chant scriptures around him is beneficial for his cultivation. Another flash of golden light appeared, revealing the words spoken by the Emperor Rider, with golden characters densely arranged. Compared to Ao Tian, his words were considerably more solemn. Master, a significant event is about to unfold at the Divine Ancient Dock. Faced with the pressure of external forces invading, both the ancient races and myriad clans have decided to negotiate peace and jointly resist the foreign enemies. The peace talks will be held at the White Deer Academy, and soon various powerful beings, most of whom are of the Emperor realm, will gather here. This operation is far from tranquil. My subordinate believes that the ancient races do not intend to negotiate in good faith and will surely have ulterior motives. Firstly, regarding the celestial path unearthed by the White Deer Academy, there are developments. The Academy has temporarily announced an unknown supreme treasure, shrouded in mystery. My subordinate believes you would be interested, as the ancient races seem determined to obtain it. There is another purpose for their visit that I am unsure how to convey to you. Several of your disciples have slain a divine prince of the ancient races on the trial battlefield, inciting the wrath of the ancient emperors. This divine prince has existed since the primordial era and is said to be the offspring of the ancient clan's former emperor, holding a high status that even the emperors must treat with respect. Due to his confinement, he has not ascended to the emperor realm, yet upon his emergence, he rampaged against the Academy's disciples, displaying arrogance until he was struck down by Ling Yun's sword. The ancient races are likely coming this time with a desire for retribution. This is all I have to report. The border conflicts are currently unstable, and the Academy will likely reach out to you soon for a discussion on this matter. The Celestial Alliance from the Azure Heavens has also arrived, and the various emperors wish to meet you. The sound of the transmission talisman faded as Ji Xian stored it away. He pondered with a touch of his chin and reached a decision. The ancient clans. Merely a group of petty beings. Very well, with the situation in Yuan Mingshan temporarily stable, I shall take a look. As he spoke, the light within the celestial palace gradually dimmed. Night fell. A year later, Ji Xian indeed received an invitation from the White Deer Academy. Master, are you about to leave? Observed Shi Tianyu, who stood nearby, noticing Ji Xian's unusual movement. Yes, I am going to the White Deer Academy. Significant events are about to unfold, Ji Xian replied. I wish to accompany you, Shi Tianyu expressed. Ji Xian shook his head, saying, you should stay here with your brother. There are many affairs in the celestial palace that he cannot manage alone. Moreover, I am not going for leisure. This journey will be fraught with peril and will stain my hands with the blood of emperors. Do you wish to witness that? Shi Tianyu shuddered at the thought and hastily shook his head. He could not forget how Zhu Jiuyin had effortlessly dispatched that unparalleled sovereign. Master, I will accompany you. I yearn to see the outside world. Zhu Jiuyin flew into the hall and landed on Ji Xian's shoulder. Ji Xian responded, you should remain here. The Northern Dipper watches this place closely. If you are absent, they will surely cause trouble. Of course, you may manifest a separate incarnation to accompany me and gain some experience. Very well, Zhu Jiuyin agreed. With a flash of brilliance, a smaller dragon, identical to Zhu Jiuyin, appeared. This left the nearby was awestruck, as it quickly flew over, circling Zhu Jiuyin and chattering excitedly, seemingly asking, "How did you achieve this? Teach me, teach me." An incarnation possesses the strength of the mythical realm, indeed a clever endeavor. Ji Xian smiled gently, took care of certain matters, and departed the grand hall. The situation in Yuan Mingxian had been firmly established, becoming a robust pillar of the Dao sect, capable of stabilizing the heavens above and surveying the lands below. Here, he no longer needed to concern himself with anything. Ji Xian journeyed northward, traversing mountains and rivers, entering the vastness of the cosmos. Chapter 308, setting off to the divine ancient dock, piercing the skies in the boundless universe, a white arc streaked across the sky, resembling a brilliant comet in the night, trailing a long luminous tail. The distance to the divine ancient dock from Yuan Mingxian was exceedingly vast, even greater than that of the 3,000 states. As the saying goes, the distance between heaven and earth is infinitely great, and indeed, it appears so. One ancient star after another, cold and distant, emerged in his sight, only to gradually fade behind him. Traveling through the cosmos is a journey devoid of purpose and fraught with tedium, even inducing a sense of suffocation. Anyone who lingers too long in the universe will find their heart growing numb and cold. Fortunately, along the way, many ancient stars harbored living beings, and Ji Xian often paused on them for a while, savoring the warmth of human connection amidst the mundane world. The divine ancient dock is a realm among the 9 heavens and 10 earths. It is home to the ancient Jiang clan, the celestial beast forest, the Ice Emperor's palace, and various other forces that have long been at odds with the ancient clans, as has been the case since ancient times. It took Ji Xian a decade to arrive here, even with the speed of the fearless divine chariot. From this land, he sensed a wild and untamed aura. Compared to the 3,000 states, this region is inhabited by formidable demon clans, led by the Snow Empress of the Ice Palace and the Beast Emperor of the Celestial Beast Forest, forming a tripartite balance with the ancient Jiang family. Ji Xian stood aloft among the clouds, gazing downward. Aside from the territories of certain powerful factions, the rest of the landscape was utterly unrecognizable. The towering mountains lay shattered. Rivers stretching over 100,000 miles lay severed, and countless lives had perished, leaving a haunting expanse of bones drifting in the depths, a truly chilling sight. What drew Ji Xian's attention further was the pervasive dark matter in the Xingu dock, far denser than that found in the 3,000 states and the Yuanming heaven. This indicated the existence of something akin to a dark gate on this land, continuously breeding dark matter. Although it had not yet reached the level of instant assimilation of living beings, the threat was substantial. It was indeed intriguing to undergo trials here. Ji Xian waved his hand to disperse the dark matter surrounding him, preparing to gather some information before setting off for the White Deer Academy. At the White Deer Academy, in the main hall, several disciples of the Dao sect sat side by side on wooden benches, their expressions grave and silent. They had slain the son of the ancient clan's emperor, igniting a storm of turmoil that left the upper echelons of the academy in shock. This was nothing short of a calamity. It was said that the ancient clan's emperor could stand shoulder to shoulder with the heavenly emperors of yore, being a pinnacle figure in the path of immortality. His son, although young, possessed extraordinary talent that commanded reverence, once heralded as a being destined for ascension. His renown was immense, as one could easily discern. Yet, this remarkable individual, barely having emerged into the world, was struck down by Ling Yun with a single sword, evoking deep lamentation and incredulity. Now, the entire academy buzzed with this incident. Whenever the prodigy spoke of it, a chill would run down their spines, engulfed by trepidation. This signified that the Dao sect's disciples had provoked the ancient clan's ire, positioning themselves as adversaries. The ancient clan had come with a punitive intent, with even an ancient emperor vowing to personally apprehend these young disciples to honor the spirit of the fallen prince. Brother Ling, do not worry excessively. There will be ways to address this, Ing Zheng reassured Ling Yun within the hall. Ling Yun shook his head and replied, "You misunderstand, junior brother. I am neither worried nor afraid. It's merely a worthless ancient clan prince. What is there to fret over? My concern lies with the potential that this matter may compel our master to intervene. It is a burden that we should bear ourselves, and troubling him feels quite unjust." Ing Zheng responded, "There is no need for such concern. The disturbance is too significant. I believe that even if we do not provoke trouble, our master will come due to the matters between the ancient clan and the myriad clans. Do not dwell on it too heavily. Everything is destined to unfold as it should. Our Dao sect is flourishing. Not long ago, we dealt with the iron hooves of the Yuanming Heaven's forces, and what is the ancient clan compared to that?" "Well said, junior brother," exclaimed Mo Yue and Mo Yuling in unison, perhaps unaware of the true nature of provoking calamity. Ing Zheng's expression darkened. It was on that day, when the prince was slain, that the 2 senior sisters had set up a grand formation, trapping him within it. Had it not been for that, the divine prince would undoubtedly have evaded Brother Ling's strike. In terms of strength, the 2 women certainly bore the brunt. Yet, they sat here heartlessly, as if detached from the situation. Fire Spirit rose and spoke. Brother Ling, do not fret too much. Brother Ing is correct. Our sect has grown remarkably strong. In terms of foundation, we are unmatched by any other force. Should the sky fall, our master will bear it. We can focus on our cultivation without concern for them. Ling Yun nodded, unwilling to dwell further on the matter. Humph, what a dismissive attitude. Suddenly, a cold snort echoed from outside the hall. A troop of ancient clan cultivators entered, their eyes filled with murderous intent as they glared at the seated disciples. Their appearances were grotesque. Some had serpent heads with human bodies and bat wings, while others sported bear heads with 3 heads and 6 arms. What brings you ancient clan cultivators here? Ling Yun rose to respond, confronting them directly, his sword intent surging, ready to strike. What brings us here? You have slain our divine prince. Yet you dare to question us? One ancient clan cultivator, a towering figure covered in golden scales, stepped forward disdainfully. Beside him, a ghostly figure wrapped in black cloth also approached, eyeing Ling Yun's robust physique with gluttonous desire, as if wishing to devour him whole. You rely on numbers to bully our divine prince, a cowardly victory. Today, I shall test the mettle of this exceptional sword cultivator. Should you be defeated, I shall consume you. Ling Yun stood firm, undaunted by the pressure of the crowd. He proclaimed loudly, How dare you call yourselves the noble ancient clan? Yet lack even the most basic decorum. Your divine prince was slain due to his own inadequacies. What grievance exists in that? Ultimately, he was merely a pampered fool born into a royal lineage. At these words, the ancient clan cultivators erupted in fury, and those who had been observing rushed forward, pressing toward Ling Yun. Preposterous. Today, I shall offer you as a sacrifice to the heavens. I doubt the academy would dare object. The golden-scaled being stepped forward, exuding a powerful aura, the presence of a great sage radiating from him. Not only he, but the ancient clan behind him also released their auras. None weaker than great sage. If a battle is what you seek, then so be it. Do you truly believe we are afraid? Fire Spirit, unable to remain idle, drew her sword from her waist before Ling Yun could react, and with a swift arc, she struck. Chapter 309. The Great Battle. A tempest swept through the hall, and before the ancient clan cultivators could respond, they were engulfed by a torrent of raging flames. With a single stroke of her sword, Fire Spirit unleashed the essence of the phoenix within her, the flames of the great path surging forth, enveloping the entire hall in an instant. Retreat. The ancient clan's powerful figures were shaken to their core, abandoning all pretense and dignity as they summoned their protective treasures, attempting to break free. They distinctly sensed a faint imperial might within the flames of this woman, though she was merely at the initial stage of the holy sovereign realm. With a swift motion, a multitude of figures broke through the fiery barrier, leaping into freedom. Naturally, not all were so fortunate. Help me please, cried the once boastful golden creature in a desperate wail, as a wave of flames surged forth, striking him directly. In that instant, his form was enveloped by blue and red flames, the golden scales crackling as they scorched and began to flake away. Take my hand. A female practitioner, donned in azure robes, emerged, a water cultivator from an ancient lineage, possessing the body of a young woman yet the head of a frog, presenting a rather peculiar sight. With a series of incantations, the flames consuming the golden being began to extinguish, albeit the proud scales had already been reduced to ruin, charred flesh now exposed. Exuding a waft of roasted meat. I shall slay you all, he raged, nearly driven to madness. The disciples of the Tao sect grew increasingly vigilant. For the influx of ancient beings into this realm was rising, and a great conflict could erupt at any moment. Kill! Roared the ancient creatures, their fury palpable. For how dare these lowly humans slay their divine prince? The prince, revered among them, could not be so easily avenged. Humph! Ling Yun stood undeterred, stepping forward as the essence of life and death swirled around him. With a pointed gesture, thousands of sword energies surged forth, coalescing into a vast array of sword shadows. Rushing forward like an iron tide, the clash of weapons echoed as figures fell from the sky, each bearing grievous sword wounds. Do not falter. Kill! The golden creature, brimming with vitality after consuming divine herbs, had nearly regained its strength. Seething with murderous intent, he unleashed a mighty punch, causing the very peaks of the temple to tremble. Clearly, he was a formidable being at the pinnacle of the great saint realm, having comprehended the will of the emperor, poised to transcend to the quasi-emperor stage. An entire realm above Ling Yun and his companions. With wild golden hair whipping about, he bellowed, how can a mere saint sovereign contend with an emperor? Submit. Ling Yun, robust and unwavering, stood as a bastion before his brethren, a mountain shielding all from harm. How dare you presume to call yourself an emperor before even reaching the quasi-emperor realm? Do you not fear divine retribution? He resolved to act without hesitation. Summoning the emperor's weapon, he wielded. As the Yin Yang divine sword emerged, the entire world was enveloped in the dual energies of Yin and Yang, caught in a state of eternal balance, one side pulsing with vitality, the other steeped in deathly stillness. A resonant hum filled the air as the terrifying pressure of the emperor's weapon radiated outward, obliterating all incoming attacks in an instant. Concurrently, it unleashed waves of Yin Yang sword energy, sweeping away countless threads of murderous intent. With a thunderous crack, the might of the Emperor's weapon erupted, shattering the grand hall where they stood, debris flying and dust swirling, conjuring a tempest. In that moment, dozens of figures emerged from the swirling haze, retreating to the horizon, hearts racing as they gazed upon the massive crater left behind. The Emperor's weapon. The hearts of the ancient clan members raced with trepidation. Had that strike been truly initiated by an emperor, they would have been reduced to mere ashes. Nevertheless, despite this, Ling Yun's activation of the imperial weapon inflicted a profound blow upon the ancient clan. The once boastful golden being had been obliterated into fragments, vanishing into thin air. Utilized the forbidden artifacts. Bellowed a robust figure from the ancient clan, who then summoned a golden gauntlet radiating an equally formidable aura. Forbidden artifacts possessed the capability to unleash immense power, temporarily rivaling the might of imperial weapons. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The members of the ancient clan simultaneously activated their forbidden artifacts, cloaking the azure sky in a kaleidoscope of dazzling lights. They had come prepared, having been instructed by their clan's ancient monarch to eliminate the disciples of the Dao sect, bringing with them a considerable arsenal of forbidden artifacts. How dare mere forbidden artifacts contend with imperial weapons? Ling Yun stood proudly aloft, his dark skin glinting with a chilling sheen, exuding an aura of lethal intent. Brother, fear not. We shall replenish your spiritual energy, cried Mo Yue and Mo Yuling, who had already arranged their formation, ready to engage in a fierce battle. Ying Zheng and Huolinger positioned themselves behind the sisters, guarding against any surprise attacks. Outside, the number of onlookers swelled. This tumultuous event quickly spread throughout the Bailu Academy, even attracting elders and law enforcers. However, they refrained from intervening. Having received the directive from Emperor Shuhua to observe the performance of the disciples, let them all perish. Avenge the divine prince. The ancient clan's cultivators glared with bloodshot eyes, their gaze filled with hatred. Who could have anticipated that this youth would suddenly produce an imperial weapon, delivering a devastating blow against them? In an instant, a dozen forbidden artifacts were activated simultaneously, unleashing powerful beams of energy aimed directly at the Dao sect disciples. This was a lethal strike, intended to erase them in a single blow. The overwhelming pressure of their might pierced the heavens, rending the void, and creating terrifying fissures that spread the laws of space. Ling Yun, wielding the imperial weapon, manifested a sea of yin and yang, resembling a grand Tai Chi diagram, seeking to thwart all incoming assaults. Boom! A cataclysmic collision ensued, causing Ling Yun to falter, retreating uncontrollably by 2 steps. Bang! 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 In the distance, a cacophony of explosions erupted, akin to the deafening roar of dozens of cannons. The towering mountains were swept away by the beams of extreme power, disintegrating into mere rubble, no longer existing. The Bailu Academy, long revered as a sanctuary for the divine, tranquil and serene, now lay in ruins. With a rush of energy, Mo Yuling and Mo Yue channeled their strength to stabilize Ling Yun. Activate the royal body. Ling Yun proclaimed with resolute authority, no longer concealing his prowess, unleashing the manifestation of the Sword King body. In that moment, an expansive divine image unfolded, enveloping the heavens, as manifestations of the true dragon, divine phoenix, white tiger, and black tortoise soared forth, emanating overwhelming majesty that descended upon the battlefield. In the distance, the observing disciples felt a chill run down their spines, struggling to resist the urge to kneel. They had long heard of Ling Yun's Sword King body, yet today was the first time they witnessed its magnificent manifestation. In the void, it appeared as though the heavenly emperor of yesteryears had truly manifested, revealing an imperial silhouette. With a mere gesture, the galaxies shattered, and the grand pathways crumbled. Kill! Veins bulged on Ling Yun's forehead as he summoned all his strength to suppress downward. He faced a cadre of cultivators on the brink of ascension to the quasi-emperor realm, armed with forbidden artifacts, and he could not afford to be careless. The emergence of the royal body as phenomenon was unmistakably potent. The energy of the forbidden artifacts was immediately quelled, causing the ancient clan's beings to hemorrhage profusely, clearly on the verge of collapse. With a spurt, a female cultivator with a frog-like head spat out a stream of blue blood and sank to her knees. In that fleeting moment of vulnerability, the light of the yin-yang divine sword pierced through, cleaving her in twain, obliterating both form and spirit. The remaining ancient clan members were seized with terror. The imperial weapon was indeed formidable, and even a mere graze could spell doom. It was over. Ying Zheng stepped forward, wielding the dragon pattern cauldron, unleashing a cascade of brilliance that was dazzling and resplendent, a riot of colors. This was the purest force in the realm, one that could not be ritualized by any other, and once unleashed, it was fearless against all. Boom. The ancient clan's cultivators could no longer withstand the onslaught. The balance was shattered, and they were swiftly engulfed by the sea of yin and yang. How could this be? How could our clan's cultivators be defeated? Who bestowed this imperial weapon upon this lad? By the heavens! In a heartbeat, cries of despair and disbelief erupted, as the forbidden artifacts in the hands of the ancient beings detonated, scattering across the ground. Their bodies, swept by the overwhelming pressure of the ultimate path, succumbed to bitterness. Suppressed by the imperial weapon, the ancient temple, once a hall of enlightenment, was now utterly destroyed, reduced to rubble and debris, unrecognizable. The observing students were left in a state of shock. The numerous great saints of the ancient clan, who could have toppled a major sect, were thus annihilated. All eyes turned towards the disciples of the Dao sect, particularly Ling Yun, whose prowess elicited admiration from all cultivators. The Sword King, indeed, should be thus. Ling Yun stood aloft, wielding the imperial sword, pointing towards the concealed cultivators lurking in the distant mountains, and bellowed, "Who else dares to challenge?" Chapter 310. The gathering of talents. Ling Yun's thunderous declaration resonated throughout the mountains, his formidable holy power blending with his voice, creating a deafening impact. Beneath the mountains, the hidden cultivators were taken aback, abandoning their intentions to strike. Their factions had been subjected to the suppression of the Sword Emperor in years past, making them wary of the newly emerged Sword King. As the ancient clans stirred to action, they contemplated seizing the opportunity to eliminate Ling Yun. Yet now, none dared to step forward. The might of the Sword King was insurmountable. Wow. Senior brother is amazing. Indeed, all those hideous creatures are dead. Oh yeah. Mo Yuling and Mo Yuling cheered, clapping their hands in excitement. Ingzheng sighed, stating, "At last, this matter is settled. Let us hope no mightier foes emerge." However, the ancient clan's experts had not been entirely vanquished. Lurking in the distant wilderness was a formidable entity of the Ghost Clan. Cloaked in black bandages and exuding an eerie aura, the rusted iron weapon at his waist emanated a chilling gleam. Previously, this formidable specter had boasted of suppressing Ling Yun and devouring his flesh and blood. However, after experiencing Ling Yun's initial strike, he sensed an ominous turn of events and concealed himself, thereby evading the second manifestation of the Sword King. Alas, there was no recourse. Failure to complete the mission would surely incur the wrath of the ancient emperor upon his return. His expression was one of despondency, for this time. The stakes were life and death. Failure left no avenue for survival. I refuse to believe that each of them possesses the formidable Sword King physique. Surely, there must be one who is weaker. His hollow eyes ignited with two flickering blue flames as he scanned the disciples of the Dao sect with meticulous scrutiny. Those two little girls, barely matured, are the targets. The spectre aimed for Mo Yue and Mo Yuling, a sinister smile creeping upon his lips. Even in death, he would take one or two with him, unwilling to allow the ancient clan to suffer humiliation. I excel in the art of assassination. In my current state of undetected advantage, with my cultivation surpassing yours, I doubt you will react in time. How I relish the desperate cries of young maidens before their demise. Thick black smoke billowed as the spectre burrowed into the earth, awaiting the opportune moment to strike. Meanwhile, Ling Yun and his companions descended into the ruins, where a throng of prodigies surged forth. Ling brother, what a sight to behold. With the emergence of the Sword King manifestation, you can quell all adversaries in this realm. I am in awe. A cultivator clad in a green Taoist robe stepped forward, clasping his hands in greeting. This was Wang Xian of the ancient royal family, who had attained the title of Master Refiner at a tender age. Reputed for having crafted a quasi-emperor weapon single-handedly, and possessing profound expertise in the art of refinement. Wang brother, you flatter me. In this vast world, each of us possesses our own strengths. Your mastery of refinement is something I cannot hope to attain, Ling Yun replied graciously. The man before him, though a peer, had been invited as an honorary elder upon entering the academy, sharing the same rank as the formidable ancients, an enigmatic figure indeed. My esteemed brothers. What a remarkable display. If those ancient clans were to seek me out, I would surely annihilate them without a trace. A brawny man with dark skin approached, exuding an aura of battle-ready fervor. This was Wei Qi Hao, a direct descendant of Emperor Wei Qi, a paragon of the primal lands, capable of uprooting mountains with a single hand. Following him were others, including Jiang Tianxing of the Jiang family. Upon hearing Wei Qi Hao's declaration, the surrounding cultivators' expressions shifted, instinctively retreating 2 steps. For ordinary individuals, merely evading the ancient clans would suffice, yet this rugged man actively sought confrontation. He was indeed a peculiar character. Greetings, Brother Jiang. Brother Wei Qi, Ling Yun acknowledged in turn. The individuals before him were undoubtedly among the strongest prodigies of their generation, renowned within the academy. Ling brother, your spirit is unparalleled, so striking that I am tempted to challenge you to a duel. A stunningly beautiful woman approached, clad in azure ice armor. Her hair cascading down to her waist, her skin as pristine as jade. Though she spoke to Ling Yun, her gaze was directed provocatively at Huoling. Ice Phoenix. Your elegance remains unchanged. It has been far too long. Ling Yun replied succinctly. Fire Spirit looked at the approaching Ice Phoenix with evident disdain, making a face to express her contempt. This elicited a flurry of whispers from the onlooking prodigies. What is going on? Are these two women flirting with each other? Could it be a budding romance? Oh, I do enjoy the clash of flowers and the dance of butterflies. Indeed, both ladies are strikingly beautiful. If rumors were to spread, it would certainly be exciting. Enough with the nonsense. What romance? These two are at odds due to their elemental natures. A young cultivator stepped forward to dispel their fanciful notions. Oh, what do you mean by that? The surrounding crowd leaned in, eager to absorb the gossip. The young man replied, Ice Phoenix is attuned to the Tao of water, while Fire Spirit embodies the Tao of fire. When they meet, neither is willing to yield, resulting in a tumultuous relationship, truly a case of love and rivalry. As for how their rivalry manifests, I cannot say. The crowd erupted in excitement. Huh? You claim there is no romance? What do you call this rivalry then? Exactly. Share your insights. Amidst the clamor, several prodigies gathered to reminisce. Fire Spirit glanced at Ji Changsheng not far away and inquired about him. What's the deal with Ji Changsheng? He just stands there, not even joining the conversation? Ice Phoenix replied indignantly. That person can hardly be considered aloof. He has practically a wooden block. I even tried to be friendly with him, but he completely ignored me. Such a waste of his handsome face. Jiang Tianxing leaned in, urging the others to listen closely. He whispered, that is quite normal. I've heard Ji Changsheng is a relic from 100,000 years ago. He is not from our era. The reason he exists in this time is that the remnant soul of the Ji family's ancestor was implanted within him. Now, he is likely dominated by the consciousness of that immortal. At this revelation, Ling Yun and the others gasped in astonishment. So, you mean Ji Changsheng is currently inhabited by an immortal-esque consciousness? They all turned their gaze toward him. Upon sensing their attention, Ji Changsheng merely nodded slightly and chose not to engage further. His demeanor reflected exactly what Ice Phoenix had described. No wonder he never integrates with us. It makes sense now, Ling Yun remarked. Indeed, Fire Spirit agreed. Just as the conversation unfolded, Mo Yue and Mo Yuling were joyfully playing nearby, oblivious to Ji Changsheng or any other matters, lost in their own youthful world. 1, 2, 3, I got you. Ah, sister, be gentler. You're hurting me. Sorry. Oh dear sister. In the distance, a plume of black smoke erupted from a crevice, heralding the arrival of a ghostly figure. Seizing the moment, he drew a rusty dagger from his waist, and, like a specter, weaved through the crowd, lunging towards the sisters. Chapter 311. The terrifying little lowly suddenly. A ghostly wail echoed through the air, and before anyone could react, a rusted, jagged dagger had appeared before the two sisters. The incident transpired with startling suddenness, as all were engrossed in amiable conversation and reminiscence. Who could have anticipated the clandestine emergence of a malevolent specter? In a flash, Ling Yun was the first to react. Bellowing, sisters, be cautious. Mo Yue and Mo Yuling were initially taken aback by his warning, but soon they felt the chilling aura of the apparition looming behind them. The silvery twin tails of the girl danced in the wind, while the dark, ghostly energy encroached upon them within a mere 3 feet. Success is at hand. Ha ha ha. The malevolent specter cackled, wearing a sinister grin as he fixated on the sisters. Tremble in fear, fellow cultivators. Those who allow me to close the distance shall meet their demise. Yet, to his astonishment, the sisters exhibited no signs of trepidation, instead gazing at him with serene composure. This bewildered the specter. How could such seemingly innocent children, appearing barely a few years old, not be terrified by his ghostly ambush? No matter, he thought, I shall kill. The specter swung his blade down with fervor, unleashing a violent wave of energy that shattered the ground beneath. It's over. The onlookers felt a tightening in their chests and closed their eyes, unwilling to witness the impending outcome. Suddenly, a jarring metallic clash echoed through the air. Instead of the anticipated sounds of flesh being cleaved, bones shattering, and blood splattering, the spectators opened their eyes to a remarkable sight. The silver-haired girl effortlessly caught the descending blade with a single hand. The specter's expression shifted dramatically as he beheld the blade firmly gripped in her delicate grasp. He struggled to free his weapon, yet no matter how he strained, his prized sword remained ensnared in her hand. What do you intend to do, uncle? Mo Yuling queried, her face a mask of confusion. With a swift motion, she flicked her wrist, sending the specter tumbling backward. How is this possible? The specter retreated with a leap, his demeanor now grave as he scrutinized the sisters. As a formidable being, how could his full-force strike fail to harm 2 mere children of the saintly realm? Was this some sort of jest? Could they be body cultivators? He pondered, knowing only those who had refined their physical form to its utmost could transcend realms in combat. Yet, the diminutive stature of these girls hardly suggested such prowess. Return the blade. The specter commanded, extending his bony hand towards the rusted sword, intent on summoning it back. Wait, something feels amiss. Why does my blade not return? He was utterly bewildered. If an unexpected failure had caused his assassination attempt to falter, that would be one thing. But now, what was this predicament? His treasured weapon, which had accompanied him for millennia, had inexplicably failed him. No, it is my own power that has been stripped away. Who could have accomplished this? The ancient specter finally grasped the gravity of his situation. His entire reservoir of power had been removed, rendering him akin to a mere mortal. Under such circumstances, the strike he had just unleashed would possess no potency whatsoever. Cold sweat trickled down his brow. To stealthily strip him of his powers was a feat that even a quasi-emperor might struggle to achieve. Could it be that a great emperor was covertly intervening? Die. Ling Yun roared in fury, stepping forward as the manifestation of his Sword King's aura descended like a towering mountain, casting its shadow over all. Ah, this is unjust. With the great emperor intervening, why not engage me in a fair battle? The ghostly cultivator wailed, his robe shredded, revealing bare bones, crushed to powder under the oppressive force of the kingly manifestation. How could it be deemed fair to assault two young maidens? Ling Yun raised a finger, unleashing a flicker of sword light that obliterated the ghost's soul entirely. He never anticipated that such malevolence could dwell within a member of the ghostly race, targeting two defenseless junior sisters. Fortunately, this ghostly cultivator had not ascended to the quasi-emperor level. Otherwise, eliminating him would have proven exceedingly difficult. Ling Yun felt a twinge of relief, for a ghost who cultivates imperial intent is indeed worthy of a title. Without absolute dominance, a name remains unextinguished, and thus the ghost endures. How strange it was. How did these two young ladies manage to withstand that strike? Suddenly, a voice broke the murmurs of the crowd. The surrounding cultivators began to ponder aloud. Indeed, that was a blow from the unparalleled great sage. Even the elders of our academy would not dare to meet it with their flesh. Could it be the work of an array? Snap! Moyue stood, snapping her fingers and addressing the assembly. You guessed correctly. The surrounding spiritual energies have been sealed by my sister and me. Anyone who enters this domain will be rendered mortal. Upon hearing this, the onlookers hastily examined their own spiritual seas and found them shrouded in a heavy, lifeless stillness. Even Wei Qihao and Jiang Tianxing appeared startled. Despite their formidable prowess, their spiritual seas had been sealed. What on earth transpired? A chilling realization washed over the students as they contemplated the ease with which their life forces could be extinguished without a sound. Hisses of astonishment filled the air, as if the very oxygen had been siphoned away. The crowd gazed at the Mo sisters with a mix of fear and awe. No wonder a master of formations among the emperors had once lowered himself to personally instruct these two. With such innate talent, they are indeed worthy of being sought after. Ling Yun and his companions, however, maintained an air of calmness. They had witnessed such techniques on the Tianxian continent thousands of years prior. With a decisive gesture, Moyue crushed a violet crystal sphere, causing the surrounding space to ripple as sacred energy surged forth. At that moment, the cultivator's spiritual seas returned to their original vibrant state, no longer enshrouded in darkness. These junior sisters possess significant strength as well, Jiang Tianxing remarked with a smile. Previously, his attention had been solely on Ling Yun due to the brilliance of the Sword King body. Now, he recognized that these two young maidens were formidable in their own right and warranted closer observation in the future. Wang Xian regarded Moyue and her sister with keen interest. If he was not mistaken, they too practiced the path of creation. He must seek an opportunity to spar with them. Fire spirit rushed over, lifting the two junior sisters in her arms and planting kisses on their cheeks. She turned to the onlookers and declared, "Everyone, please disperse. The matter here is resolved, and the elders of the academy will handle the aftermath." After a brief moment, the gathered students began to disperse. "Let us return," she said. After a brief exchange among a few of Huolinger's senior brothers, they proceeded deeper into the mountains. Suddenly, with a thunderous roar, the distant sky shattered, creating a vast opening, and an overwhelming imperial pressure descended upon the land, sweeping across the 8 directions and suppressing the 6 realms. An endless wave of energy radiated outward, and a colossal azure hand emerged, descending upon the disciples. It was the might of an emperor. The departing students gasped in shock, drawn by the commotion, sensing that a great emperor was about to strike at the disciples of the Dao sect. Chapter 312. All emperors arrive in the far sky, the void fractured like glass, the Dao collapsing, and the sun and moon losing their brilliance. An immense azure hand reached forth, its power formidable, traversing mountains and rivers, spanning vast plains, aiming to seize the disciples of the Dao sect. An emperor comes to kill. The crowd cried out. The oppressive imperial might swept over the heavens, leaving the students of the Bailu Academy paralyzed with fear, all prostrating on the ground, trembling uncontrollably, their teeth chattering in dread. "Those who dare to slay my clan's divine prince, prepare to pay with your lives." The master of the azure hand shouted from afar, his murderous intent palpable, as if he yearned to consume Ling Yun and his companions whole. With a resounding crash, the mountains within the academy were flattened, buildings collapsed, and many students who could not escape in time were instantly reduced to blood mist. "Everyone, take cover behind me," Ling Yun bellowed, summoning his imperial weapon and unleashing the full power of his sword sovereign form. There was no escaping this fate. Only a desperate fight remained. How dare a speck of dust contend with the brilliance of the full moon? I shall take you back to the mountain and thoroughly torment you. The azure hand bore down, gradually closing in, seeking to grasp the disciples within its palm. Ling Yun felt blood trickle from the corner of his mouth. The emperor's pressure was overwhelmingly terrifying. The disparity in realms was too great. Even as the sword sovereign, he could hardly withstand it. "Humph, Qing Luan, ancient emperor. You have overstepped your bounds." A cold scoff echoed from deep within the Bailu Academy, as the Shuhua emperor manifested in his true form, striking out with a fist that sent the azure hand flying. With a piercing cry, a massive azure bird soared from the rift in the sky, its wings obscuring the heavens, spanning countless miles. A golden feather adorned its head, and as it spread its wings, billions of azure rays erupted, dazzlingly bright, forcing all disciples to shut their eyes, too afraid to look. Shuhua, what do you intend? Do you wish to obstruct my ancient clan's affairs? The might of the ancient clan is formidable. The Bailu Academy cannot bear the consequences. The Qingyuan ancient emperor transformed into human form, tall and regal, garbed in green robes, with golden hair cascading over his shoulders, his square face exuding the aura of an emperor. Shuhua Emperor replied, "It is only natural for young ones to perish at the hands of their peers. Is your divine prince forged from celestial jade, untouchable?" He shielded Ling Yun and the others behind him, known for his protective nature as the president of the Bailu Academy. The Qingyuan ancient emperor retorted with a cold smile, "Spare me your empty words. Our divine prince is of noble blood, a descendant of the heavenly sovereign. Can your lowly human race even compare? I know your thoughts. For the sake of a mere Dao sect, which has only risen in the past few millennia, you truly wish to oppose my ancient clan." Shuhua Emperor responded firmly, "Regardless of what you say, I shall ensure the safety of these individuals today. Come forth. Engage in battle. It has been an age since my hands have been stained with blood." The ancient Emperor Qingyuan thundered, "This suits me perfectly." Boom, boom, boom. The great conflict was imminent as the two emperors vanished in an instant, colliding amidst the void. The disciples of the academy hurriedly retreated, their burdens lifted as the oppressive mountain of supreme path finally dissipated, thanks to the protection of the great Emperor Shuhua. "We must depart," Lin Yun urged, leading several fellow disciples to withdraw immediately. Bang! A thunderous sound erupted as a figure was hurled from the void, staggering backward and crushing several mountains beneath his feet. After a few exchanges, Qingyuan's golden hair was disheveled, appearing somewhat disheveled, his green robe tattered and nearly in shreds. "Qingyuan, after all these years, your prowess has seen little advancement." Great Emperor Shuhua jested, his breath steady, his form as unyielding as rock. "You have broken through." Qingyuan's expression darkened. "Return. You are no match for me alone." Shuhua waved his hand dismissively. "What if I join forces?" In the sky, another figure materialized, standing beneath the azure heavens, his feet upon the profound yellow earth. This entity, humanoid in form, bore a singular eye upon his forehead. With skin of ancient bronze and a gaunt frame that suggested illness, he appeared frail. Yet, Great Emperor Shuhua understood that this was a formidable adversary, ranking among the most powerful of the living elders, supreme of the extreme path. This was an unparalleled powerhouse within the realm of supremacy, his age surpassing even that of Great Emperor Shuhua. "Three-eyed ancient emperor, you still draw breath," Shuhua taunted. Faced with such a formidable foe, Shuhua did not flinch but instead initiated the mockery. The three-eyed ancient emperor replied with a grin, "I shall not perish until these few wretched beings are slain." Each clan possesses its so-called foundation of the immortal path, reviving immortal artifacts or welcoming the remnants of immortal souls. The resurrection of the divine prince was our clan's preparation to summon the immortals. His demise equates to the extinguishing of our hope. These human wretches must die. Shuhua countered, "Do you know who stands behind them? Whoever it may be, even if it is an emperor, what of it? Even if the heavenly emperor were to descend today, we shall raise this place." A commanding voice echoed as a third ancient clan emperor emerged, a colossal black bear adorned with broad antlers and white wings, an exceedingly bizarre sight. The black bear, exuding dominance, continued, "Humans, you and your despicable existence among the myriad clans cannot possibly compare to our ancient lineage. The life of the divine prince alone is worth the lives of 100,000 from your white deer academy." At these words, the gathered students gaped in disbelief, their eyes blazing with indignation. What a contemptible assertion. We share this world, yet we did not originate in the same era. Must we be ranked in tiers? Is the ancient clan truly above all? In that moment, they clenched their fists, the weight of their collective breath thickening the air, all harboring a fervent hope that these arrogant ancient clans would face retribution. Yet, in that charged atmosphere, not a single student dared to speak. The dialogue between emperors was sacrosanct. To interject even a single word could spell doom. "Have we not yet subdued this place? Three old fellows, you are rather slow." The fourth ancient emperor has appeared, followed closely by the fifth and sixth. In an instant, the horizon is filled with emperor shadows, an indeterminate number of beings joining the fray. The hearts of the students feel a chill. Although the Shuhua emperor is mighty, he cannot withstand such a multitude of assailants. Good heavens, has the entire ancient royal lineage of the divine ancient valley emerged? How can there be so many? Is this divine prince truly that significant? Prompting all emperors to converge. A student trembled as he spoke, noting that such a scenario had never unfolded since the dawn of the Great Era. The simultaneous appearance of over a dozen emperors has not been witnessed even in the annals of history spanning millions of years. At that moment, the sky behind the Shuhua emperor shifted in hue, a blue screen unfurling like a scroll, as formidable beings stepped forth one after another. "Your ancient clan is rather overbearing," remarked one. "Indeed, with so many appearing, do you intend to suppress the White Deer Academy? Our descendants are still present." Do you wish to offend the forces supporting us as well? Let us converse amicably. The matters at hand concern the entirety of the 9 heavens and 10 earths, and we need not resort to violence. The emergence of these powerful figures ignited a flicker of hope in the prostrated students. The emperors of myriad clans have arrived. Chapter 3:13. Confrontation of the emperors down the mountain. The kneeling students gazed at the silhouettes materializing in the distance, their fists clenched, overwhelmed with excitement. The emperors of countless clans have appeared. That is our Jiang family's ancestor of the Zhengyang, cried the Jiang clan's disciples, their anxious hearts finally at ease. With the ancestor present, their worries dissipated. The Ji clan's emperor has also arrived. In the far sky, an elder clad in a purple robe and adorned with a golden crown strode forth, exuding a formidable aura of spatial laws. He glanced briefly in the direction where Ling Yun and the others had fled, then redirected his focus to the ancient emperors ahead. You ancient clan lack all sense of propriety. My descendant Hao is still here. Do you wish for me to thrust my wolf-tooth club into your flower? Boomed a robust man with dark skin, his upper body bare, wielding a wolf-tooth club in his left hand and a battle axe in his right. His words cast a pall over the faces of the students from the wild ancient lands. How could their venerable ancestor speak so indiscriminately at his age of several hundred millennia? That is the Emperor Weiqi from the wild ancient lands. It is said that Weiqi Hao is his direct descendant, someone mentioned. The cultivators then realized, no wonder they hail from the same lineage. Both the elder and the younger are eccentric. Nearby, Weiqi Hao, upon hearing this, picked his nose and displayed a look of disdain towards those whispering cultivators. If the Emperor Weiqi has arrived, it signifies that the Imperial Alliance will intervene in this negotiation, one cultivator remarked. Just as he stated, in the next moment, several figures emerged from the luminous screen, each radiating a powerful presence. Notably, the foremost among them was a white-haired woman, a red mole adorning her forehead. Possessing a celestial beauty, her expression cold and unyielding, yet exuding an alluring charm with every gesture. She was clad simply, draped in a loose pink robe, her fragrant shoulders and snow-white neck partially bared, her enticing form mostly exposed. Snow Emperor. Upon her arrival, the emperors of the ancient clan furrowed their brows, instantly adopting a cautious demeanor. Even a figure as formidable as the three-eyed ancient emperor lowered his arrogant stance, compelled to treat this assembly of the emperors with utmost seriousness. My heavens, it is the Snow Empress. She is breathtakingly beautiful. Some say her beauty could rank among the top 3 in the realms, but upon witnessing her true form, one realizes that declaring her the first is not an exaggeration. A group of disciples chattered excitedly, nearly bursting with blood at the sight of the Snow Empress's pure white figure. The Imperial Alliance did not anticipate your presence here. In these turbulent times, rather than safeguarding your own kin, you roam aimlessly, commented the ancient Phoenix Emperor. From the myriad races, a scholar-like cultivator stepped forward, stating, the situation at the border is dire, and your ancient clan stirs internal conflicts. If we do not intervene, the realms may soon face your recklessness. Today, sign the agreement peacefully, otherwise, we, the Imperial Alliance, will take action. On the ancient clan side, a black bear with antlers laughed heartily, saying, how can you manage our ancient clan, just based on your might? In the past, even the likes of Ji Xinyuan could merely seal us away with all their strength. Without a celestial emperor in this generation, what authority do you possess over us? Moreover, our heavenly monarch is on the verge of revival. Perhaps the path of immortality across the realms will soon be restored. The heavenly monarch, a sovereign of the ancient clan from the primordial age, held equal stature with the celestial emperors of myriad races. Following the battle at the ancient immortal court, his fate remained unknown. The words of the Black Bear ancient emperor served as a formidable deterrent, igniting the imaginations of the emperors from various races. They discerned the underlying implication of his words. The lingering power of the ancient clan's heavenly monarch might one day emerge from the forbidden zones to wreak havoc. This was the ancient clan's attempt to compel the Imperial Alliance to submit, dismissing any notion of signing a trivial agreement, and instead demanding the relinquishment of dominion over the realms to confront external threats. Both sides were probing each other. Before the agreement was signed, whoever could assert dominance would secure a more advantageous position when the time came. However, some ancient emperors could no longer sit idly by, eager to take action. What are we discussing? Let us fight. The Emperor Weiqi struck his weapon, producing a resonant clang, his battle spirit soaring. The ancient emperors on the other side grew restless. Having been confined for countless millennia, they longed to stretch their limbs. Well said. Let us engage in battle. Today, should our ancient clan overpower you, we shall not sign any peace agreement, allowing the ancient clan and the myriad races to fight to the bitter end. Furthermore, we shall capture those little rascals from the Dao sect. The Black Bear ancient emperor bellowed. He clearly shared a mutual understanding with the Emperor Weiqi, eager for close combat. Faced with such circumstances, there was no alternative. The emperors of the myriad races nodded, reaching a consensus. The emperors Shuhua, Xingyang, and those from the Ji family united to set up a formidable celestial barrier, creating hundreds of worlds in preparation for the battlefield. In an instant, the realm fell silent. and the observing disciples retreated further away. The Emperor Shuhua lifted the oppressive pressure weighing on them. Realizing that the imperial battle was imminent, they hastily fled. Boom. Suddenly, a brilliant and intense light erupted, and the battle within was poised to ignite. In a tumultuous clash of nearly 20 sovereigns, the boundaries of the 9 heavens and 10 earths, as well as the outer cosmos, were shattered in an instant. The cultivators gazed into the depths of the celestial realm, only to behold a vast, pitch-black abyss, interwoven with myriad divine lights, emanating an aura of terrifying power that chilled them to the bone. Heavens! In a mere moment, the barriers of the 9 heavens and 10 earths have been breached, exclaimed one scholar. Indeed, within mere breaths, they had already battled hundreds of thousands of miles away. While these cultivators could scarcely leave the confines of the 9 heavens and 10 earths in their lifetime, the sovereigns traversed this distance in the blink of an eye. A disparity that elicited profound lamentation. Boom, boom, boom. In the distant skies, the starry river hung inverted, the cosmos crumbled, the laws of the Tao danced chaotically, and the omnipotent might of the sovereigns spread throughout the universe, obliterating all in its path. This was a calamity, yet also a visual feast. Such a grand scale of imperial warfare had not been witnessed for countless years. Suddenly, a few figures descended from the cosmos, manifesting within this realm. The Emperor Weiqi engaged in fierce combat with the ancient Black Bear monarch, devoid of intricate laws or mystical powers, their fists colliding with visceral intensity. Jiang Xingyang confronted the ancient Qinghuan monarch, both being supreme beings, evenly matched, their radiant flashes intertwining as mountains crumbled around them. The surging glow of dawn dispelled the darkness, extinguishing the eternal silence. The disciples of the Tao sect turned their gaze back, overwhelmed by the sheer ferocity of the sovereign's battle. Even a residual wave of energy could obliterate them a myriad of times. Suddenly, an unforeseen event transpired, as a brilliant light flashed. The intent of the sovereigns roaring forth from the outer cosmos, transforming into a blade aimed directly at Ling Yun's brow. Chapter 314. The onslaught from all directions, the chilling light of the sword, and the glimmering blade locked onto the positions of several Tao sect disciples in an instant. Countless murderous intents converged here, as myriad weapons clattered, unleashing searing divine radiance that coalesced into sword beams hurtling towards them. Ling Yun, realizing the danger, felt a chill in his gaze, and a surge of killing intent surged within him. It is the assassins of the divine dynasty. He summoned an imperial weapon to withstand the strike, but caught off guard, he was sent hurtling backward. Senior brother, Yingzheng activated the divine ascension technique, conjuring a strand of celestial light to stabilize Ling Yun's form. Mo Yue and Mo Yuling promptly set up a 4-layered grand formation, deploying a multitude of talismans to shield their location. The assailant was a quasi-emperor. Ling Yun gasped for breath, channeling his energy to calm the tumultuous blood within him. Hua Linger and the others immediately heightened their vigilance, summoning divine weapons to encircle their surroundings, prepared for another attack from the quasi-emperor level. Ling Yun shook his head and remarked, "It is futile. I am well acquainted with the methods of the divine dynasty's cultivators. After a strike fails to claim a life, they will retreat. What awaits us is a more formidable assault, perhaps even the direct intervention of a sovereign." Boom. The void erupted with a resounding explosion. As Ling Yun anticipated, a formidable pressure descended from the heavens, the might of the imperial weapon akin to a vast ocean, overwhelming and roaring across the realms. A purple bell materialized, its chime resonating with waves of sound capable of collapsing the ages. A quasi-emperor emerged in the distant mountains, charging forth. "Do you possess the imperial weapons alone?" Ling Yun rose, twisting his body and casting the Yin-Yang divine sword into the fray. With a resounding clash, the sword collided with Xiling, sending shockwaves that shattered the undulating mountain ranges and obliterated the vast forest in an instant. The protective barrier established by the ancient emperor did not extend to this locale, resulting in significant damage to the Bailu Academy. Countless disciples were reduced to ashes in that singular blow, their mournful cries silenced before they could escape their lips. The might of the imperial weapons is overwhelming. Even without the direct invocation of an emperor, they can desiccate oceans and shatter the cosmos. "Brother Ling, I come to assist you." Mo Yue and Mo Yuling's sword within a cauldron, observing as Yingzheng below hastily bore the cauldron away. With a spirited cry, the sisters jointly summoned a resplendent celestial star, not a physical entity, but merely a shimmering illusion. Yet, even in this form, the celestial power surged forth, igniting dozens of grand formations that erupted with fierce energy directed at Xiling. Boom, boom, boom. The clash of the two imperial weapons erupted into a cataclysm, mushroom clouds billowing into the outer cosmos. The arena was engulfed in flames and smoke, rendering the surroundings invisible. Suddenly, a harrowing scream echoed from afar. The quasi-emperor who had unleashed the Xiling imperial weapon was struck by the celestial force, sent hurtling away. In terror, he gazed towards the sisters, trembling as he uttered, "How could you possibly possess a treasure far surpassing the imperial weapons?" No sooner had he spoken than the residual might of the creation emperor star overwhelmed him. Ling Yun, witnessing this outcome, clicked his tongue in astonishment. He surmised that the artifact above his two junior sisters was likely a celestial weapon, though largely sealed by their master. Its divine might was not something a quasi-emperor could withstand. He was taken aback by his master's indulgence towards the two sisters, granting them such a celestial artifact. Suddenly, the imperial weapon in his grasp felt less appealing. Thud, thud, thud. A strange noise emanated from the ground, as if something were burrowing upwards. Be cautious, my fellow disciples. Something approaches from below. Fire Linger warned loudly, and they all vanished in an instant. Roar. At that very moment, a colossal crocodile burst forth from the earth. Springing from where the disciples had once stood, its gaping maw ready to strike. Alas, it found nothing but air, for they had already evaded the scene. It is a member of the Stone Spirit clan. Even the ancient tribes of the 3,000 prefectures have arrived. Ling Yun recognized at once that this great crocodile was a stone spirit, affiliated with the sacred silver ancient emperor's lineage, often embroiled in conflict with the Sword Pavilion. The animosity had begun when Ji Xian executed the sacred silver clan's envoy. Suppressed them. In an instant, thunderous shouts reverberated from all directions. The atmosphere thick with pressure as new formidable forces targeted Ling Yun and his companions. Finally willing to reveal yourselves. Ling Yun's gaze sharpened, his killing intent surging. These were cultivators targeting the Sword King physique, harboring resentment from the earlier sanctions imposed by the Sword Emperor. Now that they saw his emergence, they rushed to confront him. Since you have come, none shall escape. Mo Yue and Mo Yiling cried out in unison, their youthful voices wielding an air of dominance despite their tender tones. Their bodies were adorned with protective talismans, radiant and shimmering, enveloped in a suit of golden armor, transforming them into two diminutive knights. Now, even if an emperor were to pursue them with deadly intent, it would be impossible to harm a single hair on their heads. Ingla, standing nearby, was left in awe. His two junior sisters consistently conjured new marvels. Ingla, you must also strive to excel. Mo Yue and Mo Yiling leaped from the dragon-patterned cauldron, plunging into the heart of the battlefield, engaging the enemy in fierce hand-to-hand combat. What an extraordinary scene. Fire Spirit, who typically prized civility, could not suppress an exclamation. Shall we join as well? Ingla proposed. With those words, he lifted the cauldron above his head, his hands weaving intricate seals, summoning an array of phenomena around him. Mountains rising and rivers flowing, the sun and moon cycling in succession. Invoke the divine. He commanded, and his aura shifted dramatically. His eyes transformed into a black and white pair, pupils resembling the sun and moon. Soon, a languid figure appeared above him. Ah, my little master. This is the first time you have summoned me. The river god yawned. Let us unleash our wrath. Without hesitation, he struck forth, and the river god mirrored his actions, sweeping a hand that cleaved through the approaching foes like chaff, severing them with ease. The invocation of the divine was the ultimate secret art of the emperor's deification technique. Practitioners of this divine skill often lacked martial prowess. But fear not, one could summon bound deities to fight alongside them, albeit at a fraction of the deity's true power. Yet, even a single emperor, merely spitting, could drown a multitude of semi-emperors and great sages. Show no mercy. The disciples of the Tao sect unleashed their full might, their eyes ablaze with fury, confronting an enemy that numbered no fewer than 800, each a paragon among saints, with semi-emperors and great sages in abundance. Yet, the tide of battle surged forward with overwhelming force. Ling Yun and Fire Spirit, armed with supreme weapons, brandished their dual swords, casting a profound silence in their wake. Mo Yue and Mo Yiling plunged into the throng, wielding their golden gauntlets, each punch dispatching a saint, and should a great sage or semi-emperor appear, they would strike with the phantoms of celestial artifacts. Where they passed, a mountain of corpses rose, and a sea of blood spread forth. As for Ingla, it goes without saying, with the river god manifest, a single slap could dispatch 2 or 3 dozen great sages. In the distant sky, the battlefield was a sea of humanity, not only the disciples watching, but also elders from the academy gathered to obstruct the encroaching beings. However, upon sensing the terrifying fluctuations of energy, they reconsidered their intentions, realizing their presence would be of little assistance. Chapter 315, a clear objective, a stunning kill. At the center of the battlefield, flames raged and spells flew. Wherever the great sages and semi-emperors tread, mountains fell and stars shattered. The Tao sect disciples, though not yet great sages themselves, found themselves embroiled in fierce combat, leaving the onlookers spellbound. The reactions of Yu Qihao, Ice Phoenix, and Wang Xian were equally complex. Initially, they believed only Ling Yun within the Tao sect shone brightly, worthy of attention. It now appeared that none were ordinary. Standing atop a majestic mountain, Ji Changxing observed the unfolding events with an unyielding calmness. Despite the remarkable displays of prowess by several individuals, he remained largely unperturbed, his inner tranquility almost unsettling. He was waiting, anticipating the arrival of a certain individual. The battle had escalated to a fever pitch, with the invading foes suffering significant losses, their numbers reduced by over half, while the disciples of the Tao sect had merely sustained minor injuries. Your Majesty, we can no longer delay. The Dao sect has sensed our movements and is dispatching reinforcements. If the Xian Emperor arrives, it will spell disaster, whispered a few cultivators from the assassin divine dynasty. Indeed, the others concurred, emphasizing the urgency of summoning the Emperor's intervention. Should the Xian Emperor become aware of the Academy's activities and come forth, the divine dynasty would face annihilation. With a swift motion, more than a dozen talismans ignited, conjuring a portal to the starry expanse. A shadowy figure emerged from the portal, exuding an aura of formidable presence. Bow before the god of slaughter. The assassins immediately knelt in reverence to their sovereign, clad in a black robe. The god of slaughter possessed a square visage and radiated an overwhelming aura of murderous intent, instilling fear in those who knelt before him. Well done, he remarked, gazing at the distant Dao sect disciples with a smirk. Earlier, he had instructed his subordinates to set traps, biding their time to strike down several promising disciples of the Dao sect. Humph, Xian Emperor, you could never have anticipated this development. The god of slaughter chuckled sinisterly as he advanced toward the Dao sect disciples. Boom, boom, boom. An ominous phenomenon rippled through the heavens and the earth, akin to a living heart pulsating, inducing a sense of unease. In the arena, both the Dao sect and their adversaries ceased their hostilities, hearts racing as they turned to the source of the sound. At the horizon's edge, a tall figure in a flowing black robe approached, his long hair dancing without wind. An almost imperceptible aura of lethal intent enveloping him. It is the god of slaughter, exclaimed the members of the Holy Silver Ancient Clan. Their faces drained of color as they urged their companions to retreat. Why has this ruthless figure arrived? The other factions hastily withdrew as well. The god of slaughter, the embodiment of death and revered sovereign of countless assassins, was unlike any ordinary killer. He never concealed himself in the shadows for a stealthy strike. Instead, he created tremendous commotion to draw attention, for he was confident that no prey marked by him could escape. His intent was clear, to instill despair, to incite their cries, and to ensure they remembered the fearsome name of the god of slaughter. Boom. He unleashed a strike, spanning vast distances across mountains and rivers, targeting Ling Yun and his companions with a single palm. An unremarkable blow, yet it caused the earth to crumble beneath its force, bearing down on the Dao sect disciples with overwhelming might. Ling Yun and his companions felt their hairs stand on end, despite the great distance. They found themselves unable to move. They were ensnared by this devastating strike. Crack! A massive rift tore through the battlefield where the emperors clashed, and an elder emerged from within, hastening towards the disciples. Retreat! The elder waved his purple robe, radiating golden light, as powerful spatial rules cascaded like a mighty river, cleaving through the void. The power of nihilism manifested, effortlessly neutralizing the strike from the god of slaughter. You are a senior of the Ji family, exclaimed Ling Yun and the others in astonishment, utterly unprepared for the Ji family, their formidable adversary, to extend a helping hand. The elder of the Ji family nodded at them, his eyes betraying a complex array of emotions. These individuals' master had once wreaked havoc upon the Ji family, slaying 2 emperors and inflicting grievous losses. Yet now, the elder found himself shielding them. He understood that in this chaotic era, the greater good must prevail. Should any of the Dao sect disciples suffer harm, the Xian Emperor would surely erupt in fury, and the frontier would lose a formidable ally. Moreover, his own ancestor, Ji Changsheng, had remarked that the loss of 2 emperors paled in comparison to the future of the Ji family. Thus, the Ji family swallowed their pride. Ji Wuxing, how could you willingly protect these little brats? How pitiful the Ji family has become, mocked the god of slaughter. It is none of your concern. Yet, you dare obstruct the Ji family's endeavors. Can your mere divine dynasty withstand this fury? Ji Wuxing retorted coldly. Do you genuinely believe the Ji family still reigns as the ancient celestial court dominating the 9 heavens and 10 earths? The foundation of my divine dynasty is hardly inferior to that of the Ji family. The god of slaughter countered, then shifted his tone, chuckling. But how do you know that I am the only one who wishes to eliminate these Dao sect brats? Boom. As his words echoed, the great celestial locking formation set by Jiang Zhengyang shattered, unleashing a torrent of emperors from the forbidden zone, racing towards the Dao sect disciples. Stop them. They never intended to sign any agreement. Their sole purpose is to eradicate the disciples of the Dao sect. Emperor Shuhua bellowed. You are too late to realize this, Shuhua. The 3-eyed ancient emperor surged forward, his central eye flaring open, suddenly unleashing a gray beam aimed at Ling Yun and his companions. Jiang Zhengyang lunged forward, summoning his imperial weapon to shield himself. Thud! Struck by the gray beam, his weapon was sent flying, and he spat blood, his form staggering. The 3-eyed ancient emperor was overwhelmingly powerful. Zhang's strength was insufficient to confront him directly. Protect those young ones. Descended the snow emperor, her garments flowing elegantly, exuding a spring-like aura. Her 9 tails coiled together, releasing a silver radiance to counter the gray beam. No one can restrain them. The black bear ancient emperor charged from the cosmos, crashing through like a mountain, sending one of the great emperors of myriad clans sprawling. Your opponent is me, roared Emperor Ichi as he leaped forward, tackling the black bear ancient emperor, and the 2 engaged in fierce combat. The scene erupted into chaos, with only the god of slaughter remaining concealed in the void. No one stands against me. The opportunity is mine, he declared, stepping forth, traversing miles in an instant, producing a serpentine sword, upon which he spat a drop of divine blood. This was a secret technique of the Killer Divine Dynasty, wherein the practitioner's blood imbued the weapon, casting a curse upon the target. Even should this strike fail, the marked cultivators would succumb to a sinister curse, their paths of cultivation forever severed. An insidious and ruthless maneuver. Fear me. The god of slaughter howled to the heavens, raising the serpentine sword, preparing to hurl it with great force towards the disciples of the Tao sect. At that moment, a terrifying explosion reverberated from the distant sky, shattering the ethereal heavens as though they were mere glass. The cosmic expanse materialized, and the very fabric of this world teetered on the brink of collapse. Concurrently, an enigmatic force ensnared the god of death, rendering him momentarily blind and immobilized. What is happening? The power of time. Who is behind this? A surge of dread coursed through him. As a supreme being, how could he be rendered powerless? A resounding roar echoed, followed by the emergence of a black long spear, its metallic resonance piercing the air with divine brilliance. Time seemed to freeze for an instant before the spear shot forth, traversing countless miles in the blink of an eye, akin to a released arrow. No, who is it? The god of death sensed the imminent approach of death, desperate to discern the identity of his assailant. Yet, no matter how he struggled, he could not turn his neck. The one intent on his demise lurked just behind him, yet he remained oblivious. For an assassin, this was a profound humiliation. With a thunderous crash, the black dragon spear pierced the god of death, shattering his form into countless fragments, while his soul barely withstood a mere second. The spear's might was world-shattering, radiating an overwhelming light. This single strike reduced a quarter of the land of the White Deer Academy to ashes. The emperors were momentarily stunned, halting their actions to gaze toward the source of the commotion. There, amidst the scorched earth, the long spear stood at an angle, resonating with the dragon's roar. A figure clad in white slowly descended, obscured by the glare of the light, rendering his true visage indistinguishable. He stood upon the spear's tail, bathed in the brilliance of countless celestial lights, his white garments billowing like the wings of a war deity. Chapter 316. The Ascendance of the Xian Emperor. In the desolate wasteland, only the long spear and the war deities stood tall, gazing defiantly at the ancient emperors before them. One spear strike had felled a great emperor, leaving all present in awe. The ancient emperors displayed grave expressions, fully aware that their mission could not conclude favorably. The emperor of Shuhua wore a cunning smile, for it was he who had sent the secret invitation, unbeknownst to anyone else. Ah, this is Ji Xian. How tells me tales of him every day. My ears are nearly calloused from listening, remarked Emperor Weiqi. He then nudged the scholar beside him with his elbow, teasingly adding, see that? He is 100 times more handsome than your feeble self. The scholar shot him an irritated glance, retorting, oh please. In the distance, Ling Yun and his companions erupted in excitement. After several millennia, they had finally reunited with their master. Ji Xian nodded in acknowledgement, then waved his sleeve, enveloping them within a pocket realm of his own making. He turned his gaze toward the emperors of myriad races and spoke, Brother Xingyang. Congratulations on transcending to the supreme realm. Earlier, Ji Xian had sensed Jiang Xingyang's presence during his own tribulations as he ascended to emperor. At that time, Jiang was still in the Dharma form realm, and now he had broken through to the supreme. Subsequently, with the Jiang family allying with the Tao sect, Ji Xian had also come to know Jiang Xingyang. Jiang Xingyang nodded in response, saying, Friend Ji, your strength has also surged remarkably, leaving us in awe. Ji Xian extended greetings to the cultivators of the Emperor Alliance. Although they were unfamiliar, etiquette was paramount among high-ranking practitioners. Subsequently, Ji Xian turned to face the ancient emperors, extending his hand to count. Not bad. 1, 2, 3. Upon noticing the three-eyed ancient emperor, Ji Xian furrowed his brow. How peculiar that such an oddity has intruded, truly unfortunate. At the moment he was scrutinized, the three-eyed ancient emperor felt as though his very essence had been pierced, stirring a tremor deep within his soul. In that fleeting instant, he was thrown into a state of panic. Immediately after, Ji Xian waved his hand, conjuring a chaotic screen. As time's laws began to flow, the scene of the emperors in battle replayed, allowing Ji Xian to pinpoint those who had attacked the disciples of the Tao sect. He descended slowly, drawing forth his divine spear, and pointed it at the leading Qing Yuan ancient emperor, stating, Let us commence with you. His movements and tone were so nonchalant, as if he were not confronting a sovereign, but executing an insignificant insect. Arrogant, the Qing Yuan ancient emperor retorted with displeasure, yet dared not act recklessly. He addressed the surrounding ancient clan emperors, fellow Taoists, let us unite to subdue this individual. I am aware that some inscrutable old foes have arrived today. Do not hold back, lest we all perish. The others nodded in agreement, casting wary glances at Ji Xian, as if facing a grave threat. The several emperors of the myriad races stood still, suddenly feeling a sense of being overlooked. Let us assist our Tao friend, proposed Jiang Xingyang to those nearby. Ji Wuxing halted him, advising to observe the unfolding events, for this was ultimately a clash between the disciples of the Tao sect and the ancient clans. Now, A portion of the ancient clan's elites sprang into action. Leading the charge was the Qing Yuan ancient emperor, who swung his large hand to summon a cyan fan, unleashing an overwhelming aura of power, with azure light flashing and relentless winds howling. You little rascal! Ji Xian harnessed the power of time, enveloped in a silvery white divine light. As a crisp sound resonated, akin to a bell tolling, the laws of time shifted at that moment. Halt! Ji Xian commanded, and the raging winds were instantly frozen. The flying sand and shattered weapons suspended mid-air, as if caught in a timeless stasis. What kind of sorcery is this? The ability to suspend time. Not only the ancient clan emperors, but even the myriad race emperors were taken aback. Time, indeed, is the most enigmatic force in existence. Its manipulation more challenging than even the chaos that transcends it. All living beings are governed by time, from birth, growth, cultivation, to passing and returning to the earth. It is an inescapable cycle. Who could have imagined that one day, time could be grasped within one's palm? Retreat! The Qing Yuan ancient emperor bellowed, realizing Ji Xian's intent in that instant. As anticipated, the next moment, Ji Xian seized control of the cyan fan, reversing its winds. A tempest surged forth, its might surpassing even that of the Qing Yuan ancient emperor's strike, as if it were sweeping across the heavens, rending the universe apart. Crack! The void erupted. The very spot where the emperors had just been standing detonating, the ground sinking and the space fracturing. Little blue bird, where do you think you're going? You first laid hands on my Dao sect disciples, so your demise begins with you. Before the Qing Yuan ancient emperor could regain his composure, the space beside him was torn asunder. Ji Xian extended a golden hand, grasping him firmly by the nape of his neck, sealing his fate. Release this sovereign. In a fit of rage, the ancient sovereign of the Qing Yuan felt deeply humiliated, as a mighty emperor was treated like a mere pet. How disgraceful! Without a moment's hesitation, Ji Xian severed the head of the ancient sovereign of the Qing Yuan, crushing the body beneath his foot into countless fragments. Ayu! The ancient sovereign was struck with terror, realizing that the individual before him was a ruthless character, unafraid to slay even an emperor. He gasped for breath and urgently called out for assistance from the other emperors nearby. Save me. I shall reward you handsomely in the future. The ancient clan emperors nodded in acknowledgement. After all, they were of the same lineage and could not stand idly by. However, to seek help while unable to protect oneself, was there no sense in the minds of your ancient clan? Ji Xian sneered coldly. As the ancient emperors advanced to attack, he unleashed a devastating punch imbued with the power of the 6 paths of reincarnation. The very mountains and rivers dimmed, the winds and clouds shifted, and the light of time cleaved through the ages, sending forth a formidable force in all directions. Bang! A chilling scream echoed, lasting but a moment. The ancient sovereign of the Black Bear, manifesting in physical form, was obliterated on the spot, his very soul extinguished. The remaining emperors felt a chill run through them, realizing that Ji Xian truly dared to slay an emperor of their ancient race. Human race, do you truly wish to make an enemy of my ancient clan? The three-eyed sovereign was the first to seethe with anger. After countless millennia, this was the first ancient emperor to fall. For the noble ancient clan, this was a profound disgrace. An aura of supreme power erupted from him, transcending the heavens, as he reached for the moon and plucked the stars. The light of death. A beam of black radiance shot forth from his third eye, exuding a corrosive aura that caused even the laws of the universe to recoil in fear. Unwilling to touch it, Ji Xian grasped the head of the ancient sovereign of the Qing Yuan and used it as a shield. You! The ancient sovereign screeched, realizing Ji Xian was using him as a human shield. Three-eyed, stop this at once. The gray beam did not relent, swiftly erasing the ancient sovereign of the Qing Yuan from existence. Despicable! The three-eyed sovereign roared in anger. For Ji Xian had forced him to bear the infamy of slaying his own kin. Ji Xian wiped the blood from his hand, stepping forward with his spear pointing skyward, his fighting spirit surging as he charged forth. Chapter 317. The shattering kill. As Ji Xian approached, the three-eyed sovereign bellowed, Human race, do you truly believe you can kill me? By slaying our 2 emperors, you have irreparably offended the ancient clan. Ji Xian laughed coldly, retorting, Ancient clan? A race sealed for countless millennia, long since depleted of its vitality, now merely surviving in desperation? Do you think it difficult to kill you? No, it is quite easy, and I shall demonstrate it to you. The black dragon's spear resonated, ringing with excitement and thirst for blood. Kill! The three-eyed sovereign erupted with a multitude of runes, resembling a towering deity, roaring in all directions as the stars and sun trembled, as if they might fall. The ancient emperors beside him also engaged, some weaker, some stronger, unleashing their imperial weapons to deliver a stunning blow. Ants. Ji Xian wielded the black spear, shattering myriad techniques with a single thrust, whether cleaving, slicing, thrusting, or piercing. The simplicity of his movements elevated the spear's profound essence to its zenith. He did not unleash the true power of the black dragon spear, for the might of such a supreme artifact was overwhelmingly formidable. The Bailu Academy here stood as an ally of the Taoist sect. Should he unleash a world-shattering strike, countless scholars would be annihilated. Suddenly, Thousands of crimson vines erupted from the earth, grotesque and drenched in what appeared to be blood. A plant ancient emperor of the archaic clan lay concealed beneath the ground, covertly making his move. The blood-red vines craved the taste of flesh, shrieking wildly, with each segment coalescing into a blood-soaked skull, eerily bizarre. Instantly, the area transformed into a sea of crimson, seeking to engulf Ji Xian and drown him. Such unseemly creatures. Ji Xian scoffed, activating his golden body dharma. A colossal foot emerged from the clouds, shattering the earth beneath it into fragments. With a resounding crash, the foot descended upon the mountains, and the five-colored celestial flames cascading from it morphed into thick magma, incinerating all the vines into mere ashes. The ground fissured, countless cracks radiating outward as gaping black mouths appeared, swallowing innumerable trees, rocks, and even entire rivers and lakes. Beneath the surface, a lithe woman lay bound by the vines, though. To be precise, the vines sprouted from within her own being. As she was exposed to light, her expression shifted, realizing her true form had been discovered. This was a queen of the ancient clan, who had attained enlightenment through plants. She immediately sought to burrow deeper into the earth, but found herself locked in place by Ji Xian above. Ji Xian raised his brow, retracting his dharma form. And with a swift gesture of his finger, he unleashed a dual-colored sword light that cleaved her in half. No, the queen wailed, her defenses shattered, the vines receding to reveal her naked form. She was strikingly beautiful, almost in a bewitching sense, with a fiery physique and a fair body tinged with a rosy hue. Any ordinary man would have been compelled to rush towards her. However, Ji Xian was unfazed by such allure. Having traversed the martial world for many years, he held no interest in feminine charms. Faced with a female cultivator opposing him, he showed no hesitation and ruthlessly struck down her bloom. I submit. Spare me, and I shall comply with your every desire. The bloodvine ancient queen lamented, having only recently attained her imperial status. Despite possessing some abilities, she was no match for a seasoned emperor like Ji Xian. She writhed like a serpent, enticingly laid out before him. Even after her form was severed, her allure remained intact. Ji Xian chuckled, having read the spring and autumn for 5,000 years. Do you think a mere wretch like you could seduce me? Die. With a thunderous command, he opened his palm, unleashing a large torrent of five-colored celestial flames that cascaded down like a vibrant waterfall. The bloodvine queen screamed as she was engulfed by the flames. Her body crackled and popped, her visage scorched, and her form consumed. This celestial fire was a lethal strike against her, offering no hope for survival. Within mere moments, the bloodvine queen was reduced to ashes, her primordial spirit unable to escape this calamity. A beautiful flower had thus withered. Ji Xian spat disdainfully, returning to the surface, only to discover that the three-eyed ancient emperor and the other emperors had laid a deadly trap for him. Incorporating celestial materials, the power of this formation far surpasses that of an ordinary imperial array. I wonder how you will obstruct it. The three-eyed ancient emperor, wielding the formation disc, expelled a mouthful of his primordial blood, which cascaded over the array, causing it to immediately activate. Boundless light poured forth, revealing it to be a quasi-celestial grand formation. Although it bore the scars of age and showed signs of wear, its celestial might surged like an ocean, sufficient to bring despair to any emperor of the supreme realm or above. When it comes to formations, you are woefully outmatched. In an instant, Ji Xian harmonized with the Tao of creation, his seven-colored eyes shimmering brightly as his silver hair transformed to a pure white. He struck forth with a palm, instantly shattering the quasi-celestial array into fragments. The eye of creation pierces through the fabric of time and illusion. He pinpointed the array's vulnerabilities and dismantled it with precision. This was a task of remarkable ease for him, for in the Tao of creation he was consummate. In the arts of formations, talismans, alchemy, and summoning, he claimed the second position, with none daring to contest his supremacy. Yet, throughout this journey, he had not encountered any adversary worthy of his arraying skills. Thus he had not been able to reveal his true prowess. How could this be? The faces of the ancient emperors were filled with horror. The quasi-celestial array had been disintegrated in an instant. They had even brought forth the ancient clan's protective mountain array. Charge! Ji Xian surged forward, launching a 6 paths of reincarnation fist towards the emperors. He had elevated this technique to its utmost expression, with 6 profound whirlpools embodying the paths of fire, sword, and others, augmented by the true intent of the 6 paths, unleashing a combat power many times greater. Boom! The ground beneath them collapsed, and countless structures of the White Deer Academy crumbled, as 3 ancient clan emperors were left utterly disoriented. Quickly, everyone, establish the formation and create a battlefield. We cannot allow Ji Daoist to continue this onslaught. The Shuhua emperor exclaimed, observing the devastated landscape of the White Deer Academy with palpable anguish. Within less than an hour of Ji Xian's arrival, half of the academy's land had sunk into the earth, leading to the destruction of numerous classrooms, buildings, and training grounds. Fortunately, the students had evacuated in advance. Otherwise, the losses would have been unbearable. Woe is me! The Shuhua emperor could not restrain his tears. While Jiang Xingyang hurriedly patted his back, comforting him as one would a child. It will be all right. The Dao sect will find a way to compensate us. What we can do now is prevent the emperors from fleeing and compel them to sign an agreement to confront Ji Xian. Reluctantly, the Shuhua emperor acquiesced, swallowing his sorrow for the greater good of the imperial alliance and the realms of heaven and earth. Yet, the sight of the shattered academy still pierced his heart. You shall not escape. Ji Xian relentlessly pursued the fleeing three-eyed ancient emperor, who, despite his formidable status as a supreme being, was now reduced to a passive flight. A sight that left onlookers astonished. A cultivator of the Hundred Chains realm. No wonder he was unable to withstand. Upon sensing the celestial aura emanating from Ji Xian, the three-eyed ancient emperor finally discerned his true cultivation level. Break. Ji Xian opened his mouth and unleashed a sharp sword, shimmering with azure light, descending upon his foe like a mountain. That sword was none other than the sword of celestial slaying, with Qiong still nestled within, having been unceremoniously cast into the fray. Not only the three-eyed ancient emperor, but Qiong also cried out in alarm, still groggy from sleep, as she was abruptly thrust into the battlefield to engage in combat. The celestial sword cleaved through the air with an unparalleled edge, piercing the head of the three-eyed ancient emperor, leaving even his primordial spirit unable to evade such a fatal strike. A supreme being of the extreme path thus fell. As the cultivators around him sighed in lament, a billowing black mist emerged from the corpse of the three-eyed ancient emperor, exuding a terrifying aura of darkness. Chapter 318. The Dark Eye Upon the Scorched Earth. The body of the three-eyed ancient emperor rapidly shriveled, leaving only the vertical eye at his brow gleaming with a sinister light. Dark smoke began to rise, and an eerie power manifested, causing the faces of all present to change dramatically. A colossal eyeball appeared, wrapped in azure skin, with black sclera and crimson pupils, accompanied by two immense bat-like wings that could overshadow the heavens, emanating a chilling presence that sent shivers down spines. A creature of darkness. Quickly, withdraw the students. They must not approach the White Deer Academy. Emperor Shuhua exclaimed, his expression grave. The emergence of such a being spelled destruction. Even an emperor could meet his end, let alone the budding talents yet to grow. Jiang Xingyang and his companions wore equally troubled expressions, realizing that they had unwittingly engaged with this dark entity among the emperors, potentially tainting themselves with its ominous presence. Meanwhile, the surviving ancient emperors of the ancient clan felt their hearts sink into despair, overwhelmed by the grim reality. How could a powerful figure like the three-eyed ancient emperor be a creature of darkness? Was the clan not already doomed from within? The thought was chilling. The eyeball creature emitted a bizarre, screeching sound, akin to steel saws scraping against rock. Ji Xian regarded the dark being calmly, having sensed its presence long before the others. Ji Xian. It croaked in a jumbled voice, seemingly drawing linguistic knowledge from the memories of the three-eyed ancient emperor. What a laborious task. The dark age has lingered for so long that our powers have diminished, the eyeball creature muttered to itself. With a burst of azure light, it stabilized its form, turning towards the emperors, its eyes brimming with murderous intent. This realm must be the one that mysteriously vanished long ago. It seems I have not sought in vain. Upon hearing this, the emperors exchanged puzzled glances, suddenly recalling various legends. Our power may have waned, but it suffices to conquer you. Become my slaves of darkness. You insignificant ants. With a crackling sound, the eyeball creature began to evolve, its massive body sprouting two azure claws covered in dense scales. Its aura radiating with a force that reached the Hundred Shackles realm. Both the myriad clans and the ancient clan faced the creature of darkness as a formidable foe, compelled to unite against this existential threat. A sinister laughter echoed as the azure sky was instantly shrouded in darkness, the aura of the Hundred Shackles realm expanding outward, enveloping mountains and rivers, instilling awe in all. Let this emperor see. Who shall be the first? The enormous eyeball rotated, surveying its surroundings, ultimately fixing its gaze upon Ji Xian. According to the original owner's memory, you seem to be the most despicable among this group. Ha ha ha, such vigorous vitality. Transforming into a creature of darkness would undoubtedly make one formidable. I shall devour you first. He extended his massive claw, reaching for Ji Xian. Unfazed, Ji Xian casually remarked, remove your filthy hands. Naive, wretched insect. Did you think you had the right to speak thus? At this juncture, the creature's expression froze, realizing it had indeed been immobilized. What is happening? You. After a brief struggle, the dark being was evidently frightened, as its body no longer obeyed its commands. It shouted, release me at once. Or not only you, but your disciples shall perish alongside you. Such excessive chatter. Ji Xian raised an eyebrow, and with a flick of his finger, a sword light sliced through the air. In an instant, the outstretched hand was severed, crashing to the ground, colossal as a mountain, further devastating the already shattered earth. The creature shrieked in agony, discovering an unusual force emanating from its wound, which began to erode it from within. Typically, only dark power could consume others. How could another force turn to devour itself? Ji Xian gripped the primordial divine intent sword, pointing it towards the heavens, and inquired of the dark being, now, tell me, where are your accomplices? Insect. The creature merely spat out this term, still maintaining an air of superiority even at this critical moment. Suddenly, Ji Xian lunged forward, plunging the primordial divine intent sword into its immense eye. Black blood spurted to heights of 100 feet, splattering the ground, corroding even the hardest rocks. Pain. Ah! The creature howled, suspended in the air, its wings flailing as it attempted to break free from this great formation and escape. Gradually, it grew weary, for the sword embedded within it incessantly drained its dark power. Enough with your incessant prattle, it is time for you to perish. Ji Xian's smile was both radiant and merciless. 2 more beams of sword light erupted, obliterating the entire eye of the dark being, a bizarre force of darkness spilling forth. Surging towards Ji Xian. In a desperate act, the creature realized that it had been suppressed by this man before it could even take action. Ah! What manner of sword is this? Even in death, I shall take you down with me. It cried pitifully. Beware, Emperor Xian. The other emperors shouted in unison. Once tainted by dark power, even immortals would find salvation elusive. But the next moment, they were rendered speechless as an eerie black mist enveloped Ji Xian, who merely exhaled a breath of pure energy, shattering the darkness effortlessly. You. The creature was utterly bewildered. Is an era about to change? Why does the darkness that shrouds the heavens no longer have any effect? Ji Xian stood adorned in a golden veil. The 3 primordial celestial artifacts had been refined into his very being. Without even summoning them, his corporeal form could withstand the darkness. Ji Xian stepped forward, inserting a finger into the remnants of the creature's soul, extracting its memories. The hearts of the emperors raced. Could it be that this individual belonged to a realm beyond theirs, confronting a force that even the celestial beings dared not approach? Particularly, the Snow Emperor of the Imperial Alliance and the Great Emperor Weiqi appeared exceedingly grim. Initially, they had contemplated inviting Ji Xian to join their ranks. But it seemed that he held the Imperial Alliance in scant regard. After all, even the pinnacle of their might, the Supreme Martial Emperor, had succumbed to the corruption of darkness. With a swift motion, Ji Xian withdrew his hand from the ethereal flame and cast his gaze toward the distant ancient emperors. In an instant, an arrow woven from the fabric of time was unleashed, exhibiting an unparalleled ferocity despite the absence of a bow. Alas! The brow of one ancient emperor was pierced clean through, dark tendrils of power seeping forth from his forehead, only to explode with a resounding crack, leaving no trace behind. Chapter 319. The misfortunate god of death. With a single arrow, an ancient emperor fell, leaving the remaining ones in a state of utter disarray. Was the Xian emperor intent on annihilating them all? Yet, Ji Xian paid them no heed, instead surveying the surrounding space with a discerning eye, scrutinizing the dark matter present. At last, it was extinguished. He nodded in acknowledgement. It had become clear that the immense dark eye had implanted certain mechanisms within the recently fallen ancient emperor's body. Upon his demise, the dark essence within him would proliferate, giving rise to a second dark being. This was a terrifying reproductive method capable of swiftly assimilating an emperor-level powerhouse. My friend, what is the situation? Jiang Zhengyang inquired as he stepped forward. Is there a possibility that we have been tainted by that darkness? Ji Xian replied. There is no cause for concern. The current dark matter is not dense and lacks the capacity to actively consume other beings. You may rest easy. Upon hearing this, the emperors collectively exhaled a sigh of relief, for if they had indeed become tainted by the darkness, the fruits of their cultivation over countless years would have been in vain. Furthermore, their forces would face eradication and be devoured by others. What of the ancient clans? Jiang Zhengyang directed his gaze towards the surviving ancient emperors. Out of the 11 that had come, only 3 remained after Ji Xian's onslaught. The distant ancient emperors did not display any hostility towards their disciples and had abstained from intervening during the recent battle. Feel free to act as you wish, after all. This is the domain of the White Deer Academy. The recent slaughter was solely for the sake of my disciples, Ji Xian declared. Jiang Zhengyang and the great Emperor Xu Hua exchanged glances, silently agreeing, and addressed the ancient emperors. Should your ancient clan agree to negotiate for peace, we may grant you a path to survival. The countenances of the ancient emperors turned ashen, ensnared within this predicament. Their numerical advantage had been obliterated, and they faced a ruthless fiend. In such circumstances, the prospect of escape appeared utterly bleak. We agree to negotiate. A diminutive ancient emperor gritted his teeth and proclaimed. Once these words were uttered, the 2 emperors behind him deflated, realizing their thoughts were aligned. Survival took precedence. Though once revered as mighty emperors, they now found themselves in a most humiliating predicament. For them, this was a deeply disgraceful affair. The ancient clan, originating from the primordial era and possessing a noble divine bloodline, had always upheld their valor through warfare. In the face of the celestial court's oppression and the great battles among the immortals, they would have preferred to endure a millennium of sealing rather than capitulate. Yet now, they found themselves compelled to compromise. Firstly, the dreadfulness of dark matter is overwhelming. Secondly, the 3 ancient emperors gazed into the distance at the figure clad in white, etching Ji Xian deeply into their memories. In the future, this individual shall undoubtedly become a formidable adversary of the ancient clan. Esteemed guests, Please enter the small world and take a moment to rest. Preparations regarding the peace talks will commence in the coming days. With a wave of his hand, Emperor Shu Hua opened a small world, vast enough to span hundreds of thousands of miles. Towering peaks adorned with fragrant flora surrounded magnificent palaces, harmoniously nestled among the mountains. After expressing their gratitude to Ji Xian, the emperors of the myriad tribes stepped into the small world, followed closely by the ancient emperors of the clan. Ji Xian stood upon a precipice, surveying the ravaged lands below, which he had shattered. Rubbing his chin, he mused, perhaps I may have been a tad too forceful. After all, this place is, at the very least, an academy. As the wind swept through, dissipating the dark smoke, Emperor Shu Hua emerged, smiling. Friend, behold this. Ji Xian, fully aware of his intentions, waved dismissively, no need for concern. Under the watchful gaze of Emperor Shu Hua, the flowing sleeves of Ji Xian's white robes danced gracefully as the laws of time surged forth. In an instant, a river of time erupted from Ji Xian's being, cascading towards the earth. The river embraced the sun and moon, unfurling mountains and rivers, surging across the land, manifesting the ethereal figures of countless heroes from ages past. Throughout the eons, the river of the Great Path has nurtured true spirits, whether the deceased or the vanished. All would leave behind phantoms upon this river as proof of their existence. What is this river of time? Emperor Shu Hua was taken aback, astounded by its resemblance to the ancient texts. With fingers splayed wide, Ji Xian radiated a spectrum of colors, dispersing towards all directions. The previously darkened sky became enveloped in the force of creation. The once murky azure heavens now transformed into a resplendent starry expanse. Boom! The earth began to tremble. The once collapsed mountains swiftly mended, while the dry riverbeds and lakes gushed forth with crystalline waters. Nearby, the damaged fields, burnt spiritual herbs, and the ancient palaces in the distance, along with the vast martial arenas, all were rapidly restored. Ultimately, even the sky, once pierced by the emperors, returned to its former state. Ji Xian wielded the divine decree of time, causing the very essence of this land to flow backward. Everything has returned. Emperor Shu Hua, brimming with uncontainable excitement, placed a hand on Ji Xian's shoulder, nearly leaping in jubilation as he playfully struck Ji Xian twice. But then, a realization struck, off in the distance. A shattered corpse was also swiftly regenerating. Its fragmented form, influenced by the laws of time, soared from the thick earth, rapidly reassembling. Suddenly, a man clad in a black robe appeared, the god of death emperor. Upon his revival, he was seized by a cold sweat, his hands frantically exploring his chest until he confirmed his well-being and let out a sigh of relief. Who is it? As if influenced by the lingering obsession from his previous death, the god of death emperor swiftly turned, seeking to identify the foe that had locked onto him. Yet, he found only the vast emptiness of the land, devoid of any presence. Oh, my apologies, I nearly forgot about you. Ji Xian regarded the god of death emperor. Furrowing his brow, it seemed his command over the river was still lacking, inadvertently reviving an insufferable rat. You are Ji Xian? The god of killing gazed in astonishment at the figure in white not far ahead. When had he appeared? No, was this not my arrival at the Bailu Academy? He scanned his surroundings, only to find that the battling emperors had vanished, leaving no trace of the fierce conflict. There was no other option. He would have to die once more. Ji Xian extended a finger, and the imperial might spread across the heavens, causing this realm of time and space to freeze instantaneously. The god of killing was filled with dread. Though he could not comprehend the current situation, it was clear that Ji Xian intended to end his life. Are you truly unafraid of the repercussions from my killing god dynasty regarding your disciples? He hastily retreated, attempting to tear apart the void to escape into the distance. Fear not, they shall soon accompany you. Ji Xian's expression remained cold as he gently pointed, akin to a meteor plummeting to earth, dimming the heavens. No. The god of killing collapsed to the ground, devoid of any thought of resistance. That single finger contained the power of time, seemingly originating from the ancient past, striking towards the future. Boom. In an instant, the god of killing exploded. There was no scene of flesh and blood scattered. He disintegrated into countless fragments of rules, scattering with the wind. Within the river of time, whether in the past, present, or future, the god of killing ceased to exist. Chapter 320. Reunion of Master and Disciple in a Small World. Ji Xian was assigned to a pavilion atop the verdant Dai Mountain. Upon opening the small window on the second floor, he was greeted by a lush bamboo grove, the rain having just ceased, allowing the damp scent of earth to waft through the air, refreshing and cool. Suddenly, cheerful chattering echoed along the secluded path. Two senior sisters slowed down. Ying Zheng is in despair. We are about to meet our master. Charge, charge. Mo Yue and Mo Yuling raced forward, their silver whips swirling like windmills, frolicking down the path. Behind them, Ling Yun followed, clad in black, enhancing his tall stature. Thousands of years had passed, through trials and tribulations. He was no longer the shy, dark-skinned youth of yore, but had transformed into the formidable black-clad sword god, feared by many cultivators. As for why he was known as the black-clad sword god, because the contrast with white made his presence all the more striking. Huo Linger walked alongside Ling Yun, her fiery dress trailing on the ground, long hair cascading to her waist, a graceful figure. She had also undergone significant transformation, no longer the frail girl she once was. The only ones unchanged were Mo Yue and Mo Yuling, indulging in a cycle of eating and sleeping, laughing heartily. Observing this scene, Ling Yun chuckled, "Shitty. There is no need for such concern. Both of my junior sisters are now comparable to great saints and quasi-emperors. Tripping is practically impossible for them." Zheng scratched his head, a sheepish expression crossing his face. "What my senior brother says is true. Indeed, I thought." Before their conversation could conclude, an unusual sound emerged from around the corner. True to form, Mo Yue tripped over a stone, landing face first on the ground. She grasped Mo Yuling's ankle tightly, causing her to tumble as well. "Hee. Today, I will see master first." Mo Yue swiftly got up, stepping over her sister's body to dash forward. Even utilizing a sacred escape talisman, covering 10 miles with each step, vanishing into the depths of the bamboo grove. The others followed, exclaiming, "Here I come." The attic door was abruptly thrust open by Mo Yue, who swiftly ascended to the second floor, where she beheld Ji Xian seated by the window. "Master," she exclaimed, rushing towards him, overwhelmed with emotion. It had been over 3,000 years since they had last parted, and never had their separation felt so prolonged. Alas, fate played a trick on her, as a protruding nail on the ground caused her to stumble. Ji Xian waved his hand, and a stream of celestial energy enveloped her, transforming into a billowing cloud that gently lifted Mo Yue back to her feet. "I have missed you so dearly, master," she lamented. The joy of their reunion transcending mere words, as she dove into Ji Xian's embrace and wept profusely. Moments later, Huo Linger and the others arrived. Mo Yuling rushed over, playfully swatting her sister's backside, admonishing, "Go over there and leave me some space." Soon, the two sisters were weeping together, their sobs interwoven with strands of sacred might that reverberated throughout the entire attic. Behind them, Huo Linger and the others respectfully saluted Ji Xian. "Indeed, you have all grown," he observed, feeling an inexplicable stir within his heart. If there were any attachments he held in this world, they would undoubtedly be these young ones. Initially, he had taken in disciples merely as a means to augment his strength, but now he regarded them as true family. As Huo Linger and Ling Yun observed their weeping junior, a hint of envy flickered in their eyes. Had they not been older, they might have succumbed to such tears themselves. The great era had commenced, and they had battled through mountains of corpses and seas of blood for millennia, vanquishing countless foes. Day in and day out, they faced the specter of death, having encountered the wrath of mighty emperors on numerous occasions. Thus, they remained perpetually on edge, unable to afford even a moment's laxity. Now, before someone who could truly alleviate their burdens, they found it difficult to maintain their composure, yearning to weep. "Wait, I must step out for a moment." Ling Yun was the first to succumb, making his way to the door. Huo Linger and Zheng held back their tears, desperately trying to maintain their composure. At their level of cultivation, reaching for the moon and plucking stars from the sky, to cry would be an affront to their dignity. Yet, as Ling Yun stepped over the threshold, he could no longer contain himself and burst into tears. Suddenly, "It feels like nothing matters," he remarked with a glance back. Without any restraint, they all collapsed onto Ji Xian's lap, weeping. "Master, you have no idea," they sobbed in unison. "When I was still a Saint King, a certain presumptuous quasi-emperor relentlessly pursued me with imperial weaponry. There was a time I nearly met my end. Had it not been for Senior Shuhua providing me with the essence of the elixir of immortality, I would have perished," Ling Yun cried, recounting the hardships he endured over the years at Bailu Academy, where he had borne the brunt of battles against opposing forces. Huo Linger, her voice soft and subdued, expressed her sorrow with a more tender recollection of longing. Zheng chimed in, "Master, you have no idea how mischievous the two elder sisters are. Even as they practice fasting, they insist on having 3 meals a day served to them. They never cultivate, relying solely on consuming elixirs and absorbing chaotic energy to advance." Mo Yue and Mo Yuling, still in tears, raised a hand to cover Zheng's mouth, silencing him from continuing. Fortunately, Ji Xian's long legs prevented the disciples from clinging to him. With a benevolent smile, he gazed at them with kindness, silently listening to their woes. No one who ascends to the throne is pampered. Even those born with the potential of a great emperor must tread a perilous path, littered with the bones of the fallen and the bloodied mountains of countless lives vying for supremacy. After several hours, the sounds of weeping gradually subsided. Mo Yue and Mo Yuling, having shed their tears, fell asleep in Ji Xian's embrace. The master and disciples engaged in lively conversation, sharing moments of joy. Huo Linger and the others recounted amusing tales from the years gone by, including encounters with intriguing individuals. In turn, Ji Xian shared his own experiences over the years. Upon learning they had gained another junior brother, their faces lit up with delight, further enriching their familial bond. The Reincarnation Immortal Palace, what a splendid name, Zheng exclaimed. Only their master would dare to incorporate the term immortal into the name of a power in this age. Alas, Ao Tian is already married, how joyous for him. While I remain a solitary bachelor, Ling Yun sighed. Ji Xian chuckled and reassured him, do not worry. In time, you shall have 2 wives. And you will find twice the happiness compared to him. Oh, Ling Yun's eyes widened in surprise at the prospect of such romantic fortune. Ing Zheng patted Ling Yun's shoulder and remarked, do not rush, brother. When you marry, you will understand the true joy of being single. As they spoke, he supported his waist with a long sigh, as if burdened by unspoken matters. Subsequently, Ji Xian provided them with guidance on their cultivation, sharing insights not only on breaking through to the great saint level, but also on the journey to becoming an emperor. A month passed, and Emperor Shu Huasen ascribed to announce that the peace talks between the myriad clans and the ancient families were set to commence. Chapter 321. The peace talks today marks the day of negotiations between the myriad clans and the ancient families. The borders of the 9 heavens and 10 earths were in turmoil, with external beings launching a massive invasion, necessitating a meeting to address the threat. Of course, Ji Xian's influence played a significant role in this assembly. On this day, Bailu Academy was enveloped in tranquility. Even the usually boisterous Tianjiao Square was eerily quiet, devoid of any figures. In the distance, all the students concealed themselves within the mountains and forests, observing the arrival of the various emperors from the myriad clans. Ji Xian and his companions traversed the square, making their way to the central palace. The steps before the hall were crafted from the luminous jade of the 9 heavens, as white as ivory, exuding a mystical aura that made ascending the palace feel like entering a celestial realm. Hua Linger and the others followed closely behind, joining him. On this day, aside from the emperors, the sons and daughters of emperors were also permitted entry, providing them with a rare opportunity to broaden their horizons. Among the mountains, the students' gazes were fixated on the figure clad in white, their eyes gleaming with admiration. My heavens, that is the sect leader of the Dao sect. I have heard rumors from the outside world that he is an unparalleled powerhouse. One exclaimed. Not long ago, it was announced that the Dao sect has captured the first celestial territory of the 9 heavens, expanding its territory by several times, which is simply unimaginable. I have heard the same. They seem to have established a superpower called the Reincarnation Immortal Palace. A group of male disciples fervently discussed the grand events surrounding Ji Xian, their excitement growing with each word. Among them, many individuals aspired to join the Dao sect in the future, aiming to stand independently and serve it, engaging in battles on its behalf. How youthful they are. Is he truly the great emperor? I cannot help but feel he is even more handsome than Ji Changsheng. Nonsense. They are not even on the same level. Someone pinch me, I think I might faint. Ah, a group of female disciples screamed, their focus rather peculiar. Hey, do you think the silhouette of the Xian emperor resembles the imperial figure that stood in the heavens thousands of years ago? Suddenly, someone spoke up. The students turned to look, observing that majestic silhouette. After a moment's contemplation, it seemed they recalled something, their minds shaking, darkness enveloping their sight. Hiss. Even from tens of thousands of miles away, such idle chatter could not escape Ji Xian's ears. He approached the hall, stepping inside. As he entered, dozens of gazes converged upon him. Ji Xian glanced around, noting several unfamiliar faces among the crowd. You must be Daoist Ji. It is a pleasure to meet you. An elderly man in Daoist robes approached, his white hair and beard giving him an ethereal appearance, moving lightly as if he were about to ascend to the heavens at any moment. You are Ji Xian? The old Daoist stroked his beard and smiled. I am Yuanji, hailing from the ancient cloud realm, 9 Heavens Mountain. Ji Xian understood. Having heard from Mo Yuling and Mo Yue about an old Daoist from 9 Heavens Mountain, who frequently guided them in formations and offered assistance outside as well. I have indeed met Daoist Yuanji. Ji Xian returned the greeting, acknowledging the kindness shown to his disciples with due respect. This opportunity to converse with the ancient clan is largely thanks to your efforts. The old Daoist extended his hand, gesturing for Ji Xian to take a seat. It is merely the result of the collective efforts of all the emperors. Ji Xian humbly responded as he entered. The Shuhua Great Emperor placed great importance on Ji Xian, assigning him the most prominent position on the left side. A soft mat, a pot of fine tea, and a wooden table awaited him. Ji Xian took his seat and began to sip the tea. Daoist Yuanji sat beside him, incessantly chattering away. His mouth moved as swiftly as a dancing violin string, discussing both philosophical matters and personal anecdotes. The attending young acolytes were left in awe, astonished that their ancestor had spoken more in this brief moment than in the entirety of the past few millennia. Soon, he revealed his intentions, expressing a desire to form an alliance with the Dao sect, so that in the face of the impending Dark Age, they could assist one another and weather the storm together. Upon hearing this, the surrounding emperors turned their gazes towards him, casting disapproving looks at the old Daoist. How could he be so swift in action? Daoist Yuanji mused inwardly, huh? Why should I dawdle like you all, unable to even finish a pot of hot tea? The Dao sect was thriving, and with the dark future approaching, it would undoubtedly shine brightly. This was something the old Daoist had foreseen, so why not take the initiative? Observing the old Daoist's enthusiasm, Ji Xian agreed. In the future, he intended to establish the heavenly court, and naturally, the more allies and forces he possessed, the better. Soon, several more figures entered the hall. The foremost among them was a tall, middle-aged man, his fiery red hair flowing like molten lava, exuding an imposing aura reminiscent of an imminent volcanic eruption. Upon sighting Ji Xian, he approached with purpose. Daoist Ji, it is a pleasure to finally meet you. The voice of the middle-aged man with crimson hair was deep and resonant, perfectly matching his rugged appearance. Horlinger discreetly conveyed to Ji Xian, Master. This esteemed individual is the ancient emperor of Earth Fire from the Fire God Plateau. He has previously sheltered me during my travels. Greetings, Earth Fire. I have long admired your reputation. The ancient emperor of Earth Fire spoke little, merely acknowledging with a grunt before finding a seat to settle down. As they awaited the commencement, Ji Xian sipped his tea while inquiring with Daoist Yuan Ji about the factions represented on this occasion. The discussion encompassed the ancient Cloud Realm, the Fire God Plateau, the Eastern Lu Lands, the 3,000 States, the Divine Ancient Dock, and the Wild Ancient Lands, among others, revealing the extensive involvement of the 19 realms. It appeared the Imperial Alliance's border defenses were nearing a breaking point. Ji Xian mused internally. He sensed that the various sacred lands and major sects had temporarily set aside their conflicts, converging at this gathering to address matters concerning the borders. Suddenly, several towering figures from the ancient clan approached. Aside from a few survivors from over a month ago, the ancient clan had dispatched 3 more ancient emperors. At this moment, this was nearly all the strength they could muster. Though they harbored animosity towards the assembled emperors, they dared not express it openly, for their lineage had nearly been obliterated. And even a fool could discern the gravity of the situation. The 6 ancient clan emperors sat opposite the myriad of emperors, feeling quite ill at ease under their scrutiny. Why hasn't he, the ancient emperor from the primordial Forbidden Zone, arrived? The ancient emperor of Earth Fire inquired, his tone firm, akin to that of a superior issuing a reprimand. He has gone to wage war in the Nether Mountain, replied an ancient emperor with a bear-like visage, his expression grim, clearly reluctant to elaborate on the matter. Ji Xian, seated above, inwardly chuckled. Those foolish beings had finally stirred into action, yet judging by the ancient emperor's reaction, the primordial Forbidden Zone had evidently not fared well. Upon sensing Ji Xian's gaze, the ancient emperor felt a chill run down his spine, a cold sweat emerging from his neck. This truly is the emperor who slayed my clan's sovereign. His reputation is indeed terrifying. He silently rejoiced that it was not he who had sought trouble, for otherwise, he might have met a dire fate long ago. At that moment, Emperor Shuhua entered, followed by the 2 sovereigns of the Jiang and Ji clans, representing the human race. The emperors straightened themselves. The negotiations were about to commence. Chapter 322. The frustrated ancient clan within the conference hall. A fierce exchange erupted between the myriad emperors and the ancient clan's representatives. Although the ancient clan had suffered great losses, they vehemently resisted what they deemed unreasonable terms. Emperor Shuhua and Jiang Zhenyang expressed their profound dissatisfaction with the arrogance of the ancient clan, who believed that their ancient bloodline exempted them from enduring such indignities. While they were open to negotiations, they insisted that various disputes must continue. Conversely, the myriad emperors argued that all matters, great and small, should be set aside for the time being. Currently, the borders faced an unprecedented assault, necessitating unity across the realms. The faces of the ancient emperors turned crimson, incensed by the arguments presented by the myriad emperors. The 2 sides argued fiercely, nearly escalating into conflict once more. Meanwhile, Ji Xian remained unperturbed. His eyes gently closed amidst the commotion, as if his spirit wandered beyond. This was Emperor Shuhua's domain, and he had little inclination to engage with such trivial disputes. He does not represent the myriad clans of humanity. He solely embodies the Dao sect. Conditions can be set at will, as long as they do not threaten the Dao sect. Emperors of the myriad clans, do not overstep your bounds. An ancient monarch, completely shrouded in metal, bellowed. This was a piece of celestial iron that had attained sentience, cultivated to perfection, sharp in demeanor, and exceedingly irascible. Emperor Shuhua proclaimed, your ancient clan displays excessive arrogance. In the present realm of the 9 heavens and 10 earths, all clans are equal. You may attain the Dao, and so can we. Why must we be divided into ranks? Jiang Zhenyang, stroking his beard in dissatisfaction, retorted, does the memory of our ancestors, who suppressed your ancient clan together eons ago, escape you? What of the noble bloodline today? What distinction exists between your ancient clan and our human race? In terms of strength, humanity holds its ground against you. Ji Wuxing nodded in agreement. Under the insistence of the venerable Yuanji, he sheathed his murderous intent and laid down his imperial weapon. The words spoken by the ancient monarchs were too sharp, an affront to humanity, and he nearly rose to engage in conflict. An emperor of the demon clan also voiced his opinion, asserting that the ancient clan was overly domineering in their disputes, often meddling in trivial matters, lacking the grace of a great lineage. This incited the ire of several ancient monarchs. What constitutes the demeanor of a great clan? To gaze down upon the heavens and command the ages is to embody such stature. Strength is paramount. Do you not comprehend this? The true depth of the ancient clan has yet to be revealed. Only the royal lineage has emerged. Should the imperial lineage arise, they would possess the might to challenge the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Were it not for the ill-timed circumstances, your myriad clans would gain nothing, let alone discuss peace. A diminutive ancient monarch's face flushed as he spoke. He exerted slight pressure on the table, and with a crack, the dragonwood tea table shattered instantly. The explosion resonated loudly, as the dragonwood contained sacred energy, creating a significant commotion. Ji Xian, with his eyes closed in contemplation, lifted a single eyelid and cast a glance at the small ancient monarch, casually remarking, "You are rather loud. Kindly lower your voice." The diminutive ancient monarch felt a shiver run down his spine. Upon meeting that gaze, his consciousness felt as though it might explode. "I am sorry," he blurted out instinctively. Amidst the disdainful gazes of the other ancient emperors, he quickly covered his mouth, incredulous at his newfound politeness. No, after a moment, he realized it was not politeness, but rather